Let's have a look at today's teams then. Manchester City 2 games away from sporting immortality since winning the first part of their treble and lifting the Premier League title after victory over Chelsea. The Blues have failed to win their last 2 games, drawing at Brighton and losing at Brentford. From that game against the Bees, there are 10 changes. Only Kyle Walker remains in the starting 11. Stefan Ortega has been in Manchester City's FA Cup side throughout the tournament this year, and he has yet to concede a goal. He starts, setting the back 4. Walker, Stones, Diaz and Akanji. Rodri and the captain Ilkay Gündoğan hold the line. De Bruyne, Bernardo and Grealish all pass fit. Erling Haaland starts up front for Manchester City. United closed out the Premier League qualifying for next season's Champions League, finishing 3rd. That last game was a win over Fulham. 4 changes from that made by the manager Erik ten Hag. Delon, Maguire, Malacia and Garnacho all dropped to the bench. Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Shaw and Eriksen all come in. So David De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Varane and Shaw as the back line. Fred and Casemiro hold the line for Bruno, Eriksen and Sancho just in front. Marcus Rashford, who has 30 goals in all competitions this season for United, the first in a decade to do that for the Reds. The Poznan's out already. Manchester City fans turn their backs on the pitch, link arms across the shoulders, bounce up and down. They're in a confident mood already. The question is, Richie Wellens, former Manchester United midfielder, can the Reds spoil City's party?
Well, of course we can, but I have to say that I've been to probably 5 or 6 of the last FA Cup finals. This feels different. It feels like a huge occasion. That was fantastic. All the young kids who have grown up wanting to dream of being in an FA Cup final and playing in an FA Cup final, it kind of lost its edge for a little bit. Couldn't have asked for a better game today. It's both teams are Manchester, and hopefully the blue side, that will be the only time that they do the Poznan today.
All those kids that dream of playing in an FA Cup final matters more when it comes to being a local lad for your team, Richie Wellens, and Marcus Rashford is where Manchester United will look today.
Well, I think we're going to have to sit and suffer and spend long periods without the ball, and on transition is going to be huge. And if we can isolate, when John Stones is stepping into midfield, if we can isolate Marcus alongside Diaz, we know he's got the pace, we know his finishing is improved, and 30 goals this year is a fantastic achievement. You know, it's a massive game. He scored big goals in the past, and hopefully he can produce today.
David James, the Manchester City players in a huddle in their half of the field. What is being said right now?
Well, I mean, I've just got to go back to last week when we were at Brentford, and that starting lineup, you said, so many changes. Stefan Ortega obviously kept his place, hasn't conceded. No team's won this tournament. I didn't know until today, Mike. 120 years since a team won the FA Cup without conceding. That was Bury. They'll be just saying, look, this is the side that have beaten Arsenal, that have beaten Real Madrid, and hopefully today they're confident to beat Manchester United as well.
Get ready for the FA Cup final of 2023 live on BBC Radio Manchester. Mike Minay, David James, Richie Wellens, Gaz Drinkwater and Nigel Gleghorn all part of it. We are underway. Manchester United in their red shirts left to right in the sunshine at Wembley, and Manchester City from right to left in sky blue have an early shot and an early goal. Oh my goodness me! It's a sensational volley after 10 seconds from the captain, Ilkay Gündoğan. Manchester City with an unbelievable start, a dream start in a nightmare game for both sides. City hit the front, City take the lead, and in no finer way, Manchester City 1, Manchester United 0.
Wow, Mike, I don't know what the record books are going to say, but that has to be close to the quickest goal in an FA Cup final. Richie, yeah.
Di Matteo, no?
Well, that's got to be close. I mean, look at it. It's under 20 seconds. A long ball in from Ortega, won by Haaland. Ball comes down, and Gündoğan with a peach of a volley, top right-hand corner. Richie, I think you might see the Poznan again.
Yeah, we've seen it. Listen, I'm not too happy, but Gündoğan can do that from the edge of the box, but one thing you can't do in the first minute of an FA Cup final is allow 2 free headers. Lindelof has got a duel with, I think it's De Bruyne, and he's so soft. He's such a terrible start.
Well, this is interestingly very similar to what they did against Arsenal with the long ball tactics into Haaland. The flick down was perfect, the pass was perfect, and the volley from Gündoğan, I'll tell you what, it's one of the best goals in the FA Cup.
It is the fastest ever goal in an FA Cup final. 13 seconds Ilkay Gündoğan has taken to set Manchester City off. And however the nerves were, whatever the confidence levels, for Manchester City, the nerves have gone. And for Manchester United, Richie Wellens, the confidence has been shattered.
Well, do you know what? Sometimes in FA Cup final, you're nervous. This has to take the net. You know, you're 1-0 down, you've got nothing to lose against the best team in the country. The biggest disappointment is you concede so many different goals or type of goals to this Man City team, but you can, you know, if you'd have told me we'd have conceded in the first minute for one long ball, two knockdowns, a second ball, then no, that's not acceptable.
Manchester City 1, Manchester United 0. It's a sensational volley from outside the penalty area from Ilkay Gündoğan, just to the right of the D. He caught it sweetly. It flew past David De Gea. He may have won the Premier League Golden Glove, but there was no stopping that. And Manchester City lead at Wembley in the FA Cup final. They are 90 minutes from securing the double, 180 from winning the treble, and Kevin De Bruyne now turns down the far side of the field, City's right. He tries to be stopped in his tracks by Fred. He plays a long ball down the middle. He's fouled, and Manchester City have a free kick on the far side.
Yeah, what's interesting here, Mike, is that Pep Guardiola might have had an idea of attacking from the beginning, but I don't think there was any game plan to score within 20 seconds, and it'll be interesting how City see the rest of this early stages out, because Manchester United have to go for it. It's going to open up, you'd imagine, and that's possibly into Man City's favour. Wow, I can't believe I didn't even have time to get my pen out.
The notes can wait. The action on the pitch is electric already. We've played 3 minutes. City lead 1-0. De Bruyne's free kick in. The header is won and into the side netting from Ruben Diaz, and it has some of the Manchester City fans on this side of the ground jumping out of their seat as the side netting was rippled. David De Gea was a passenger again.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm looking at the City side. I mean, I was surprised that Pep Guardiola went with such a strong side. I mean, it is essentially the strongest he can get, bar Edison. And once again, Diaz there, it's a great header, just wide. Manchester United look rattled.
Yeah, we look shell-shocked. I think we need to get through this first 15 minutes, just manage it as best we can, because at the minute, every single duel is being won by Manchester City players. Every single header, every second ball, and we just can't get a foothold in the game.
Manchester United behind after 14 seconds here at Wembley. Down the middle the ball goes, City right to left. Haaland comes short to collect it, and then John Stones slotting into that midfield role that he has done so often in the second half of the season. Just plays it back to the halfway line. Ruben Diaz uses Manuel Akanji now to the left. Ilkay Gündoğan will drop a shoulder, try and turn up against Casemiro, who goes to ground but under his own challenge of Ilkay Gündoğan. And Gündoğan then sprays the ball low along the turf out towards the right. Here's Walker, De Bruyne. Manchester City lead 1-0. Stones has got himself into a good position inside right of the box. Just tries to work a little bit out to De Bruyne, cross in, headed away by Lindelof, who put Manchester United into this FA Cup final with his penalty over Brighton in the shootout. Diaz on the halfway line, and Manuel Akanji. City are starting this at some pace. They're not giving Manchester United a moment. Grealish on the left, near side touchline, 1 yard in from the near side, and just lays it again back to the halfway line. Diaz down the middle. Gündoğan will turn it round the corner, won't find Grealish. Intercepted by Wan-Bissaka, but given away by Fernandes, and Grealish can go for the penalty area, and with a low shot, it's wide of the left hand post. And David De Gea will be a grateful man. We played 5 minutes, City lead 1-0.
Yeah, watching this build up here, and Casemiro in the centre of midfield is marshalling Gündoğan, and I think this is playing into Man City's hands, because Gündoğan's just coming out from the centre. Casemiro's having to follow him. It's leaving City with even numbers in the middle, and when you've got the passing ability of this City side, they're going to create space. Haaland at the same time is occupying either Lindelof or Varane. Like I said, Richie, Man United just don't know what's hitting at the moment.
Yeah, Man United are playing exactly into City's hands, because Grealish is staying high and wide, and Bernardo Silva is staying high and occupying the fullbacks. And what Man City want you to do, they want Casemiro and want Fred to go and man mark him and stay really wide. At the minute, it's opening space up to play into feet to Haaland, but he gets no pressure on the ball. So likes of John Stones, Rodri are just passing it around players, easy possession, and again, just so easy for them.
Yeah, I think if you were playing a game of keep ball 4 against 4, you'd love it, and that's essentially what's happening in the midfield now, because the players are just making the space.
Akanji long with the throw from this near side inside the Manchester City half deep inside the box in the half actually, and City lose out as Varane just knocks it to Lindelof. Shaw peels away out towards the far side. David De Gea just rolls the ball under his right boot before sending it down the middle, long over the top. Rashford on the chase. It should run on through to the penalty area, and it's an easy catch inside the box after a couple of bounces for the City goalkeeper Stefan Ortega.
Yeah, and there's been some question marks over David De Gea's distribution. That doesn't help the question, simply kicking the ball straight through to Ortega. Man City have now got possession. Ortega doesn't mind having it at his feet. Rashford's not sure whether to close down. Like Richie said, this is just playing into City's hand.
But you know what, Dave? The ball goes back to David De Gea, and Man United players turn the back and they walk at the pitch. The ball goes back to Ortega, and every Man City's making an angle. They want the ball, and that sends a message to your goalkeeper: give me the ball. At the moment, David De Gea has just got no option to punt it upfield and give the ball away.
Ball bouncing around in the middle of the moment. Richie, you are a manager currently of Leyton Orient, who've just won promotion from League Two. When your side goes 1-0 down so early, as Fred tries to find Rashford on the left, it's a little lay into Fernandes. We'll get Richie's thoughts in a moment as United come down the left with Sancho just between the box and the touchline. Fernandes, Eriksen plays a 1-2 with the Portuguese midfielder. Midway inside the Manchester City half, Casemiro's gone for it, hits John Stones, flies up in the air and back towards the halfway line. United continue to regain the possession though. 7 minutes played, nearly 8, and City lead by a goal to nil. It's Aaron Wan-Bissaka in towards Fred, who just turns it back towards the middle of the Manchester City half for Casemiro. Header off who last? Foul anyway. Fernandes and Walker collide. It's a City free kick inside their penalty area. So Richie, you've been a manager. Erik Ten Hag now, his side 1-0 down inside the first minute. What's he saying? How do you approach the game?
Well, I'm sure he spoke about it because, you know, there's a big chance that you might go 1-0 down to Man City. So how does that change your mentality? I'm sure they've worked on certain things. It was a good little passage of play for United there. Just Casemiro, experienced player. You don't need to put the ball in the box. Just get your team a foothold in a game. Just buy 4 or 5 passes. Force City back before forcing the ball into the box. Just, you know, someone like Casemiro can take the sting out. You look at Casemiro's position now. Why can't he just send Varane on and leave Haaland 1v1 and get more pressure on the ball? He's just playing into Man City's hands.
I think if he was to leave Haaland and Lindelof 1-1, it'd be 2-0.
No, I don't disagree with you there, but there's come the stage where you have to put pressure on the ball, Dave. Otherwise, you just, you know, Man City will be 75%, 80% possession, and they just got you on that little carousel, just teasing you.
Kyle Walker has the ball in the right back position for Manchester City. He's noticed the centre circle is free, just plays it to Rodri, who can attack the Manchester United half, evades one challenge and gets it out to the right. The run now comes from Bernardo Silva towards the right corner of the penalty area, tries to get it over to the left, and Jack Grealish, Aaron Wan-Bissaka read it easily enough, connects with it, can only send it towards the halfway line where the blue shirts of Manchester City await to gather again. It's a long ball over the top from Diaz. Kevin De Bruyne can't control, and it is going to be a Manchester United goal kick. Let's see how it's gone down in and amongst the fans. Gaz Drinkwaters watching for BBC Radio Manchester.
I mean, the Manchester United fans, just like the Manchester United team, seem absolutely shell-shocked. They know how strong Manchester City can be in possession, but at the moment this is total and utter domination. I'm not sure what the United plan is.
Frustrating for Manchester United then, who have started this half as the second best team, behind after 14 seconds to Ilkay Gundogan's goal. City lead by a goal to nil. Out towards the right hand side, Kyle Walker can just have time to roll the ball under his boot. No United press here from Sancho, and Eriksen is the furthest man forward at the moment. He then does try and jog towards Ruben Diaz, who can comfortably knock it back to Stefan Ortega, away to our right hand side, all in orange this afternoon, the Manchester City goalkeeper, as the sun goes behind the clouds and provides some much needed shade out there for the players on the pitch. Diaz has the ball, facing up against Eriksen, out to the right, the far side for the sky blue shirts of Manchester City. Walker to Bernardo Silva and back to Ruben Diaz.
Yeah, what I love this. It's Haaland is stood up the front and looking at Varane and Lindelof talking to each other, constantly pointing, trying to organise that defence. Gündoğan making his movement, taking Casemiro out of the way, as I said before. And it just looks, I'm not sure if, I can't see any change in the tactical setup, but there are too many questions being asked, too many hands being waved around by the Manchester United players.
Yeah, I think United have allowed City just constant now patterns of play. All the things that you used to seeing Pep Guardiola's Man City team, you're seeing now. You're seeing the ball go out wide to a fullback. You're seeing an 8 run, and it's just looking really, really fluid. Got a little bit of an injury here.
Yeah, Akanji and Casemiro collided, and Manuel Akanji stayed down on the halfway line. Physios aren't on yet, so it looks like with a little bit of grimacing he might be okay. Nathan Ake straps on a substitute bib and will head for his warm-up. Has a look towards the bench. Edison is helping to issue some instructions with Calvin Phillips from the Manchester City dugout. Pep Guardiola, black t-shirt, green trousers on this afternoon. Stands in quite a relaxed manner on the edge of his technical area. To his left-hand side, Erik ten Hag, white shirt and navy trousers, hands on hips. He can't be too happy with Manchester United's start. A United side that have won 41 of their 61 previous games this season. Only in 1993-4, 2002-3 and 2008-9 did they go through campaigns where they won more. It has been a success with a third place finish and a League Cup trophy, but with Manchester City lurking with the treble, something that United are the only English side ever to complete. They wanted to come to Wembley today, show themselves and really give City a test, something they haven't done so far. City lead 1-0. We've played 12 minutes. And Manuel Akanji back on his feet, back in amongst the action, shields the ball away from Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and Manchester City have a goal kick.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Pep there, looking casual and confident, and I think this Man City's side look confident. Manchester United, for some reason, are going long. I mean, how they expect anyone to beat Akanji in the air is beyond me at the moment. The other thing is, Manchester United ball players just haven't had the opportunity to get on the ball and pose any kind of threat at the moment.
How do they change that, Richie Wellens?
Well, I think when Man City get the ball, they've got 2 or 3 options. Everybody's moving the ball quickly because they have them options. And every time you see a Manchester United, it's always a look, another touch, another look, and there's no options. Hence, that Rafael Varane plays a long straight pass to Wan-Bissaka, and Akanji just cleans it up very easily.
Haaland tries to win a header on the halfway line. Varane did well enough. Lindelof and Aaron Wan-Bissaka sit to David De Gea to our left-hand side, all in yellow. Gets up towards the halfway line, but instantly Fernandes swarmed by Rodri and Gündoğan. United have come away with it and out towards the left-hand side. Luke Shaw's got a sprint over towards that far side touchline, still inside his own half to gather the ball, which he does. Uses Eriksen uses Varane, and once again Manchester United send it back to David De Gea and go long towards the halfway line. It's a ball that evades the two that challenged it on the halfway line. Here is Rashford, the first chance for him maybe to attack the penalty area. Now Sancho on the right, he gets into the box, lays it into Rashford, ball behind him. Nothing he could do there as he tried to get it out of his feet, and City clear it only temporarily though. Sancho's let off to the right hand side, is poor and won't find Rashford. Now Grealish with the defending to do in this corner on the right hand side, near side. Sliding challenge comes in from Bruno Fernandes on Ilkay Gündoğan. The 2 number 8s together. Fernandes with a big appeal, feeling it came off the German last. He's the difference in this game so far. City leading 1-0, and the blue side of Manchester have a throw in on this near side. Richie Wellens.
Yeah, that's a little bit better, a little bit of pressure, a couple of second balls won, and then obviously a couple of tackles. Which we need to get the crowd involved. We need to disrupt Man City a little bit, but you want to see Jadon Sancho there 1v1, go past your man instead of looking for the easy square pass to Marcus, but a little bit better.
Rodri out to the right hand side. It's a lovely curling ball that bends up towards the halfway line, using Kyle Walker, who's now on the attack, goes down the right, slows it up, allows Marcus Rashford to get back in position defensively. The Manchester United forward, 30 goals for him this season. Not since Robin van Persie has a Manchester United player done that. That was 10 years ago.
Just one thing tactically, Mike, it's interesting that Jadon Sancho's playing centre forward and Marcus Rashford's on the left, which is something that we didn't expect, and I'm just wondering what Erik ten Hag's thinking is behind that, because on transition, for me, Marcus Rashford's probably the best player in the league, and we're putting him out left. It's very strange.
One to watch this afternoon. We played quarter of an hour. The goal was scored after quarter of a minute. Ilkay Gündoğan volleying from outside the penalty area, right-footed, sweet strike. And City lead 1-0 in the FA Cup final on BBC Radio Manchester. Here is John Stones. We're available anywhere in the UK this afternoon on BBC Sounds. Gündoğan chips it up in the air, switching it from the left to the right. City right to left in this first half. Shooting away from the half of Wembley that is shrouded in sky blue. Rodri, space here for Ilkay Gündoğan on the left. Didn't want to attack the penalty. Bends it for Haaland on the stretch. Just outside the 6-yard box. Didn't get the connection that he wanted with it. And David De Gea has a little comfortable gather at ground level on the Manchester United goal line.
And again, just highlighted the issues that Manchester United have. a little bit of movement. Man City know where their players are. They create the space. One thing that Haaland is doing very well in the last sort of 5 so minutes is actually dropping into that midfield place to pick balls up and lay things off.
Forward come United, now Sancho up against Kyle Walker. It's a decent foot race to watch, but Walker wins it and Ortega has it inside the penalty area. Diaz too, and City clear it out to the left hand side.
Again, it's Sancho. Why is Sancho playing down the middle? If that's Rashford, I think he gets that. But back to David's point, Haaland is playing really beautifully here. The two midfield players are splitting Man United's midfield, leaving that big gap. Easy balls into Haaland. He sets it 1 and 2 touch, and his movement then once he's laid it off is, he's an elite player, and he's played exceptionally so far.
Scored a hat-trick against Burnley in the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. Erling Haaland, 52 goals in 50 games in all competitions for Manchester City this season. Here's Varane, Lindelof, and now Shaw on the left-hand side for Manchester United, who are trailing this one by a 1-0 after 17 minutes. David De Gea, bright orange gloves strapped to his hands. They were getting nowhere near Gündoğan's strike inside the first minute, which has given City the lead. It's another long ball forward from United, and it's another one that doesn't come off.
Well, how long have we got now? We're in the 18th minute, Mike. If I'm Man City, I'll just give the ball to David De Gea because he's going to give it to Ortega.
It's interesting, Dave, that obviously Man City have brought a goalkeeper who's not used to playing. In your position there, what would you be thinking? You'd be thinking that Manchester United put pressure on you. He's just been so easy. The guy looks comfortable with his feet. He's grown into the game. What would be your thinking on that?
Well, what's interesting, Richard, is a good point. And I spoke at Brentford last weekend that Ortega may have played himself out of the game in the Brighton match because he got caught a few times. But then to put no pressure on them, and the problem I think was there that there have been so many changes in this. This is the best outfield Man City can put out. Ortega is very confident, very comfortable, and at the moment untested.
Haaland is able to turn inside the centre circle, has a look forward, gets the City fans excited, but he's somewhat stopped in his tracks as he moved out towards this near side touchline, and Manuel Akanji can take over. Since Gündoğan's goal, though, it hasn't been a complete wave of Manchester City attack after attack after attack. United have defensively got themselves set, Richie Wellens.
Yeah, a little bit. I think that's more down to Man City wanting to slow the game down and just being really, really comfortable. When they have moved it fast, you've just got that chance for Haaland. At the moment, this is okay for United. We just need to get to 30 minutes and just manage the game a little bit and stay in the game as long as possible because we are up against a fantastic team.
Manchester United give away a free kick, the pull on Erling Haaland inside the penalty area. It was come from Rafa Varane there, just trying to get all over the back of the big Norwegian. And it's a free kick to City inside the centre circle, pretty central position as well, but inside the Manchester City half. City lead 1-0, we're almost at the 20-minute mark in the FA Cup final. Rodri receives the ball from Diaz, he only went short from the free kick. Kyle Walker back into the middle of the Manchester City half, and at walking pace Ruben Diaz is able just to stroll up to the halfway line. He does a David De Gea, goes long and finds nobody, and the United goalkeeper just palms the ball on the byline to keep it in play, knocks it back into his box and jogs into the middle and pick that up if any City pressure comes.
Yeah, it's interesting again the way that Man City are playing this. For regular listeners, especially when we're doing our London games, this would be the same at 0-0 from what we're seeing with City. It's not all out and out attack. They're controlling the game very well. They know that at the moment, another long ball won by City. They know that they've got control of the match, and Haaland might.
Haaland turns well, goes for the shot, always rising, and goes over David De Gea's bar. He did brilliantly, got the ball in the middle of the Manchester United half, turned out to the left-hand side, unleashed a massive left foot round the ball, but got under it, and at pace it flew over David De Gea's bar.
We're not used to seeing Haaland shooting from distance, are we, Mike? We should save that for Ilkay Gündoğan. But as I say, Manchester City look very comfortable, very confident at the moment. As I said, until Manchester United offers some kind of threat to, to shock City, which I can't see at the moment.
We're actually causing our own problem. You look at the build-up play here. We're building with 3. Because we're building with lighter numbers, we tend up just putting the ball into Sancho, and Diaz and Rodri just gobble that up. And all of a sudden we're defending. If you're going to play like that, you may as well have played Vegos from the start, and at least you've got a bit of physicality up there.
Manchester City leading Manchester United by 1-0. City in search of their 7th FA Cup. Arsenal, United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs and Villa all with more FA Cups than Manchester City. United have 12 at the moment, but Richie Wellens, it is going to seem like a big test to go and win FA Cup number 13 right now. We're almost at the midway point of the first half and they trail 1-0.
It is, and it's been difficult. I sound a little bit frustrated in my voice because at the start, not only have you put me in the middle of two blues, but then you've given me the record, the fastest ever goal scored in an FA Cup final. So I think Erik ten Hag will be okay with the last 15 minutes, but how do we score against this fantastic City team?
Ortega plays a lovely long ball over the top. It gets Kevin De Bruyne going towards the edge of the box, right hand side. He's got a lot of work to do and he's crowded out by 4 Manchester United players on the edge of their own penalty area. All of a sudden it opened up for De Bruyne as Haaland couldn't quite get himself in position. Now the foot race between Diaz and Rashford, and it will be a goal kick for Manchester City. And I thought that might have come off Ruben Diaz last.
That's a corner. But at least it's the right idea. Maybe Wan-Bissaka could have played the ball a little bit earlier. Marcus could have been on the move a little bit quicker. But that's when Man City attack and on transition with 1 or 2 passes, you need to isolate Diaz with Marcus. It wasn't a great ball. For me, it was a corner. But that is the best way for us to score.
Before the game, I always thought that Manchester United's best chance of scoring would have been through a counter-attack. And effectively there, Kevin De Bruyne has ended up in the Manchester United box. Haaland's out of position. And as you say, the ball for Rashford was a 50-50, possibly a corner, but in general build-up play so far, there is nothing to suggest that Manchester United are going to be able to break through this Man City defence.
Wan-Bissaka right-hand side, right in front of the Manchester City manager, Pep Guardiola. Here is Bruno Fernandes on the ball now. Casemiro in a right-back position at the moment. Sancho into the middle, uses Eriksen, who had space, out towards the left-hand side. 30 yards from the Manchester City goal is Luke Shaw. Fred takes over. Here's Sancho on the left corner of the penalty area, up against Rodri, his opponent. Fernandes just lays it back into Eriksen, who switches the play with a floating ball out towards the right-hand side. Wan-Bissaka clipped in by Casemiro. Rashford's comfortable header. He's just nodded wide of the left-hand post, but absolutely no danger to a very calm Stefan Ortega.
Yeah, better by United. A couple of switches of play. Ended up with a ball in the box to Marcus. It was unlucky. Maybe he could have took a touch with his chest.
David De Gea's down here, Richie Wellens. He's just outside his own penalty area, sat up, but concerned for the Manchester United goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know where that's come from. Maybe it's a tactical thing just to slow the game down from Erik ten Hag, but in terms of the last time that David touched the ball, I didn't really see anything clear-cut. He's not had a save to make.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, Jack Butland's just about to get warmed up, so obviously they are concerned. But like you said, it wasn't even like he's just done a long kick and pulled something, so definitely concerned. Jack Butland has played here, I think, in the Olympics.
Yes.
So he has experience of Wembley, but
hasn't played since May last year as a professional.
Good knowledge, but I think playing here today instead of the Olympics is a little bit different. I'm sure his heart rate has just gone up a notch.
Well, the one thing I would say, Mike and Richie, is Jack Butland is a decent kicker. He can find players around the field. He's not just a generic straight down the middle, and therefore it might actually help Manchester United in a delivery sense. But David De Gea has stood up.
Whilst we've got this break in play, both sets of teams getting a drink. Instructions from passionate Pep Guardiola's and Erik ten Hag's. David De Gea tests his knee. Let's see how the fans are reacting to all of this. Gaz, drink water.
Yeah, I'm reading what a lot of the fans are saying on social media at the moment, and it has to be said that there is a lot of dejection amongst the Manchester United fans in particular. I will say that I think Manchester United actually, in the last 15 minutes or so, haven't actually played too badly when they've been going forward and have defended Manchester City so well, but it's building up from the back. That's where Manchester United's problems are, and that's where Man City are getting a lot of the success, as you've said in commentary. Is whenever David De Gea has got the ball, Manchester City seem to be able to create themselves a chance. It's good that he's up to his feet now and is going to continue the game, but at the moment, City the team on top, but United are growing into it.
So Alex Ferguson pointing at the fingernails for Manchester United's greatest ever manager. And he sits in the director's box today alongside the Glazers as United clear the ball long, and it ends up in City's back line. David De Gea is up on his feet, by the way. He is okay for now. Certainly want to keep an eye on as Manchester City lead 1-0. 26 minutes played. Ilkay Gündoğan's goal after 13 seconds, not minutes, seconds, gives Manchester City the lead here at Wembley. in the FA Cup final. A competition they've only won once under Pep Guardiola, but every domestic final they've played here at the National Stadium under the Manchester City manager, they have won 5 from 5. The only final they've lost under the Spaniard, the Champions League final of 2021 against Chelsea. A chance to rectify that next weekend, and a chance as it stands, David James, to win the treble.
Are we allowed to say the treble word?
I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, in 14 seconds to score the first goal, give you a good start. I'm a fan of you can score too early, depending on who you are, and generally with Man City, scoring early is not a bad thing. So, again, it's up to Manchester United to try and make a game of this.
27 minutes played, 1-0 to City. Walker on the right-hand side. Here is Diaz inside the centre circle. Manchester City in sky blue shirts, white shorts, sky blue socks are right to left in this first half on BBC Radio Manchester. De Bruyne out to the right, uses Bernardo Silva. Quiet game from Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne goes for the shot, skipping along the turf. David De Gea sprawled quickly to his left-hand side. The ball goes wide of the right-hand post, but only just. It was another effort that nearly caught United off guard.
Yeah, and that was the perfect thing to do. I was thinking who would take it on, simply because David De Gea has shown that he's got a possible injury. Test him out. We'd want Kevin De Bruyne from distance to shoot. Unfortunately, this one's wide, but I'd imagine there's going to be a few more. Just watching the replay, there was a little bobble before he struck it, and I think that put him off.
Yeah, I think he's pretty comfortable, David. He pulled his arm out. He wasn't at full stretch. He pulled his arm out.
United are going to look for Rashford here. Fernandes plays him through on the right-hand side. He'll have to back away from the penalty area. The defending comes from Akanji and Diaz. Here's Wan-Bissaka to take over for Manchester United, whose chances have been few and far between in this first half. But they keep the ball now. Here's Casemiro, rolls it under his right boot, sends it backwards, then forwards, and then as it's played into the middle, Manchester City might be able to break. Bernardo Silva wins the ball and he sprints to the right-hand side, wants to get it to De Bruyne on the left. Easy interception for Rafael Varane, and he plays it low along the ground to Bruno Fernandes on the left to try and get United on the front foot. City 1, United 0. Here's Fred in the middle for Casemiro as he looks forward towards Rashford, who's got his back to goal at the minute. Casemiro with a little pass 10 yards to his left-hand side. Fred sent into the middle, out towards the right, and Wan-Bissaka's header into the penalty area is an easy pick-off for Stefan Ortega.
Yeah, I'm just watching that City defence as they're organising just inside the 18-yard line there. They don't mind balls going high, wide when you've got the likes of Jack Grealish. You've got big bodies there to deal with. And again, I'm just questioning what Manchester United's tactics are trying to get through here. One thing I would say about Haaland, there's a couple of times now where Bernardo Silva went through just now. Haaland didn't support him and it forced Bernardo Silva into an awkward pass. The time that Kevin De Bruyne went through, Haaland's run wasn't quite right. I'm just waiting. When he gets it right, that could be a good opportunity for City to score.
You've got it right plenty of times this season, Manchester City. Manchester United trail 1-0. They're trying to do the League and FA Cup double for the third time in their history.
It's handball. This is penalty. Jack Grealish.
So the referee is going to...
So you know that they played a diag, he headed it back.
The referee is going over to the far side of the field, to the VAR screen, as a possible penalty in this for Manchester United, who have had very little to do in this game attacking, and yet might have a huge moment with a penalty. Paul Tierney, the referee, has come over towards the far side to have a look at the screen. This was from Aaron Wan-Bissaka's comfortable header into the middle, which Stefan Ortega was under no threat to catch. And as he's headed it, Wan-Bissaka, does it come off Jack Grealish's outstretched left arm?
It's not for me, but the fact that he's been told to go and look at it suggests he's going to give it, and he's given it.
He has given it. Manchester United have a penalty. And Manchester City's domination early on is undone, because Manchester United from 12 yards can get themselves level.
If the letter of the law, you can say an outstretched arm, but Jack Grealish isn't even looking. His hand comes up before he even sees Wan-Bissaka and the ball being headed across. There's literally a yard between them, and I would say that is very harsh.
Now, listen, I wanted it to be given a penalty, obviously, but that for me is not a penalty. So Jack Grealish has been caught by the flight of the ball, and as he's turned, his arm has to go out. He cannot physically jump with his arms by the side of him. It's very, very harsh.
I think the thing is, he's lifted his hand. His left arm is level with his head. But as I say, he's not even looking at the ball. Had it been the other way, I have to say, Richie, I would say it's a penalty.
I don't think it's a penalty. I don't think that's a penalty.
You don't think
but it's a slice of luck that the game needed in terms of a Man United getting back into the game.
Bruno Fernandes has the ball under his left arm at the minute. He scored his last 3 penalties, including the one in the recent 4-1 win over Chelsea. He scored a penalty against Manchester City at the Etihad in March 21, but this is much bigger. This means a lot more to Manchester United. Paul Tierney blows his whistle. Fernandes against Stefan Ortega. A little jog up to the ball. He hits it right-footed.
Yeah.
He scores for Manchester United, who get themselves level. Bruno Fernandes from the spot into the bottom left-hand corner. Stefan Ortega dives the wrong way. Manchester United have their leveller, and we're back level in the FA Cup final. It is all to play for. Manchester City won, Manchester United won.
Yeah, a huge slice of luck, but Bruno Fernandes does have a big personality, and listen, there's a lot of pressure on that penalty, because I think if he misses it, it's going to be a long afternoon for us. But we've had a torrid half an hour. We're playing against the best team in probably the whole of Europe, and it's 1-1. Now how mentally the Man City adapt to this, because when you win a treble or when you're going for a treble, it's not all going to be going so easy. And Man City have had it so easy for a long time. This is a little bit of thing that has gone against them. Let's see how they react.
Just watching the replay again, Jack Grealish is surprised to see the ball, let alone trying to stop it. That took a lot from Bruno Fernandes, and I think if there's anyone in this team who had the bottle, dare I say, to do it. And can I take that back about scoring too early?
But David, I'm sure you've played in games where you've scored too early and you think, oh, well, hold on, maybe this Man City team is different. It is different, I get that. But also you've conceded early and thought, you know what, we've nothing to lose now. Maybe that can come into it.
Well, the thing is, by the very nature of the penalty being awarded, it's not because Manchester United put loads of pressure on City. If anything, at equal standings, this is something that City wanted or expected to be in this position. Yeah. So, still good for City.
So, with City's early start, City's fast start and City's domination, how do they carry the game from here, David James?
Well, as I say, they would have had a game plan. Here's Jack Grealish.
From the left-hand side, slides it into Ilkay Gündoğan, City's goal scorer. He'll stand it up to the back post. The header and knockdown will be from Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne clips it up, but it's over the bar. It's a terrible cross from the Belgian, and Manchester City have a goal kick. Yeah, Manchester United, rather.
As I said, there would have been no plan to be 1-0 up after 14 seconds. The game would have been played the same had it been 0-0, I think, and therefore they'd just go on with the plan. The only one caveat I would have to that, Mike, is whether Pep thought we can get this game done with by half-time with any thought of any other games. And at the moment, at level, I think he's okay, because he would possibly expect it, but we'd have rather been 1-0 up for sure. What do you think, Rich?
No, I think that Pep he wants to score every single time he gets the ball. He wants to score, and he's thinking 1-0. A lot of managers at 1-0 are thinking, right, let's just control the game for a little bit, and Pep's thinking 2-0, 3-0, because that's his mentality, and that's a team and the players that he's got in front of him.
Well, Ilkay Gündoğan scored after 13 seconds here at Wembley to put City 1-0 up. It surpasses the previous fastest ever FA Cup final goal, Louis Saha, after 25 seconds to put Everton 1-0 up against Chelsea. That day, Chelsea came from behind to beat Everton here in the FA Cup final at Wembley. You're listening to BBC Radio Manchester, live from the National Stadium. It is played out by Manchester United on that far side for a Manchester City throw-in, 15 yards inside Reds territory on the right of the Sky Blues. Kyle Walker lifts the ball in the air with one arm at the minute. He needs an outlet that he hasn't really got. Kevin De Bruyne marked closely by Fred and Eriksen, and then Walker has to go back into his own half. So, City 1, United 1. Gündoğan scores first, but Bruno Fernandes from the spot after a VAR check on a handball by Jack Grealish. Howard Webb, the head of all referees, is here today at Wembley and pursed his lips when Paul Tierney went over to the far side to check the screens. He's recently done a tour of a couple of TV studios and given audio of VAR decisions. Be interesting to hear back the audio from that one, wouldn't it? 1-1 at Wembley in the sunshine. Wan-Bissaka challenges Jack Grealish, wins the ball. It is a Manchester City throw on this near side.
Yeah, it's going to be a big test for Jack as well, considering his handball gave the penalty, which has put Manchester United level. So far in the game, the way that City have been playing, Jack hasn't really had much to do, much involvement, and even with David De Gea, hasn't had many saves to make. So time for Jack to step up and prove what a great player he is.
City throw the ball towards the edge of the penalty area. John Stones getting forward, hassling the back of Victor Lindelof, who clears it long. It's dipped under the head of Eriksson. Rodri wins it back for Manchester City. Here's Bernardo. John Stones can turn and face the penalty area on the right-hand side. The cross comes in, deflects behind Manchester City corner. Let's quickly get a word on the fans. Gaz, drink water.
Yes, the fans in absolutely jubilant mood. I think a bit of relief for the Manchester United fans, certainly online at the minute. And here at Wembley, you can hear them. The United fans have really come alive. We've seen red flares going off on one side of the pitch, smoke bombs, I should say. The Manchester City side have given a big roar for that corner, but have been a little bit subdued since that goal. But game on now in the FA Cup final.
Most certainly is. Kevin De Bruyne with this corner. It's a short run up. He scoops it to the right corner of the penalty area. It's returned to De Bruyne, who pokes it with the outside of his boot into the box. Headed away. Comes from Casemiro at the near post. Corner was from the right hand side. Sent long and clear by Manchester United. Sancho won't get near it. Walker on the recovery one. And he plays a 1-2 with Bernardo Silva. Walker has space inside his own half. City 1, United 1. 37 minutes played. 8 minutes to go at the end of this first half. And suddenly, it's a different game. And Manchester City will expect to continue with a lot of the possession. Akanji and John Stones on the edge of the United defensive third, combined with 1-2s. Header away from United is poor, and Stones will battle with Fred on the edge of the box to win it. Cleared away by the Reds. Gündoğan first to react on that clearance, and Diaz has it on the halfway line. That encourages a roar from the Manchester City fans. They're a long way at the minute from the Manchester United goal. They're a long way from winning the FA Cup as it stands. Here's Grealish just by the corner flag on the left-hand side. Will move in field, lays it into Ilkay Gündoğan. Back out to the left of Jack Grealish. Creeps into the penalty area. Rolls it near post for John Stones. Pullback is there, and nobody in a sky blue shirt can follow up. De Bruyne goes down under the challenge, and the referee, Paul Turney, doesn't react, doesn't flinch. Pep Guardiola, right in the ear of the fourth official, feels that Manchester City should have had something there. Still the Blues on the attack. The knockdown from Fred though on the edge of the penalty area. Ball runs away to the corner flag on the far side. Lindelof, Fred, Casemiro all combine in triangles deep inside the United half on the left of the Reds, and they've worked it well onto the halfway line. Eriksson can't turn now, miscontrolled the ball, and Ilkay Gündoğan and John Stones start City's attack off once again. David James, big penalty call from City.
Yeah, I've just seen something on the screen, and not a replay, but like a delayed view. It looks like, I think it's Wan-Bissaka, as it steps out across Kevin De Bruyne, and the argument would be, if it goes to VR, or could be, that he had control.
Well, the Manchester City players have just gone over to the referee, Paul Turney, with a break in play, as have the Manchester United players. I'm sure the City side of it, Richie Wellens, is saying, please review that, which VAR, of course, will. David Coote today.
Yeah, I think they would have come to a decision by now. At least a minute has passed over, but you know, Man City have reacted really well since the goal. I don't think it's a penalty. I think Fred just stepped across De Bruyne. I think it's a legitimate tackle, but since the goal, and this is the genius of Pep Guardiola, we've seen John Stones step into midfield before. John Stones has stepped into being a number 10, and Gündoğan and Rodri have been the two midfield players, and obviously it was John Stones running to the box with a cutback, which potentially could have been a penalty, but just the audacity to have your centre half going and standing as a number 10 position is unbelievable.
Yeah, sorry, it was Fred, it wasn't Wan-Bissaka. What's interesting about that though, Fred isn't in control of the ball, he's going towards him. Kevin De Bruyne would get it first, and Fred sticks his leg out and kicks Kevin De Bruyne.
I just don't think it's a penalty. I think it may be a penalty because of the situation of Jack Grealish's want a penalty, and he want to maybe even it up.
A few boos as play got back underway from the Manchester City fans, knowing that the VAR check was therefore over. 4.5 minutes to half time, and it is Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1. You can't separate them. We knew derbies could provide twists and turns, and we're set for more on BBC Radio Manchester. John Stones' his ball in the middle from that 10 roll is picked off by United, and Sancho just sends it out to the right hand side with Casemiro, gets it back and then releases Marcus Rashford down the right. Ruben Diaz keeping an eye on the ball. Rashford into the penalty area right hand side. Angle is tight, options aren't there. Comes off Diaz on the block from the low cross, and Manchester United have a corner.
Better, we spoke about Pep being cool in his green pants and his nice black t-shirt before the game. He's getting a little bit of sweat on now. I can see he's a bit more animated.
Black t-shirts don't show sweat.
And usually he's the coolest customer in town, and just sent a little bit more, which is good for me. Nice little movement by United, resulting in a corner. And again, I would prefer an in-swinger here. Put it on the goalkeeper. He's had one save to make, it's gone in the back of the net. Put a little bit of pressure on him, but out-swinger, let's see what happens.
From the Dane of Christian Eriksen, who raises a left arm in the air. Out-swinging delivery goes in. Header was met by Casemiro, and then Varane following up. And Manchester United send it just wide of the left-hand post. Bit of height on that as well from Rafa Varane. Probably the man you don't really want in that situation, but he had his go, and Manchester United give Manchester City a goal kick.
Yeah, that was a well-worked corner, that into the near post, flicks on Varane. You say he shouldn't be the man to do it. I mean, what is he? 8 yards? Actually, he was under a little bit of pressure there from Bernardo Silva, which made it a little bit awkward. Fair play.
Yeah, one thing City have improved in recent years is defending set plays. The sheer physicality this Man City team now allows them to deal with that.
City out to the right-hand side. They're attacking the United defensive third of their half, away to our left as De Bruyne puts too much on that for Bernardo Silva, who goes down, arms outstretched, appeals again for a Manchester City penalty. I think the referee has given that as a Manchester United free kick, in deeming that the foul was on Luke Shaw.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Bernardo Silva's meant to do it. He just stretched for the ball, but I think he's caught Luke Shaw. Yeah, he just caught his ankle there. It's just a kick. It's definitely not a penalty. If anything, it's a free kick for Manchester United. You see here, he's just got his arm across, good defending, and then Bernardo Silva just lunged at him.
Stay with us on BBC Radio Manchester. Plenty to come at half-time. The thoughts and analysis of Nigel Glegon, the former Manchester City midfielder. Bill Rice will take you through. We'll get the fans' point of view with Gaz Drinkwater, alive in Manchester as well, with Robin Gray, who will let us know how the mood is going in Manchester North as London this weekend turns into Manchester South. It is David De Gea's long ball with that free kick from his own penalty area. Rashford with a little push on Akanji, gets away down the right-hand side. Akanji on the recovery, wins a throw-in for Manchester United.
All of a sudden now we're seeing little duels being won. Marcus Rashford there with a long ball. Akanji leaning, gets his arm across him. A little bit of skill, gets a throw in at the top end of the pitch. This is better from United. If this was a nice football game, United are going to lose 2 or 3 now. We need to drag it down, to break the game up, and we needed a little bit of luck to get back in the game. So at the moment, I think Erik ten Hag will want to get to half-time, and he'll be pretty happy with what he's seen.
Well, we're a minute from finding out how much added time we'll get at the end of this first half. 44 minutes on the clock. Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1. Gündoğan opening, Fernandes levelling. Free kick taken by Manchester City from inside their own half. Diaz to Ortega and to Kyle Walker. And Pep Guardiola's just had a look over at the 4th official this afternoon in Peter Banks to just ask how much more time at the end of this first half. Diaz knocks it to Akanji. A little bit more of a relaxed pace about the two teams at the minute as they approach the half-time whistle. A chance to reset, a chance to go again. Here is Diaz. And Stefan Ortega, the Manchester City goalkeeper, is 20 yards from his own goal line. We're going to have 4 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. It is long enough for something to happen, and the Manchester City fans to the right of the halfway line just sense that a little bit. And still the ball is being knocked around by the Blues. Here's Rodri, 1-1. Rodri just turns out to the left, to the right, and back to the left again inside the centre circle. Grealish with a little drop of the shoulder. Does he want to run along the touchline with Aaron Wan-Bissaka in close proximity? Gündoğan, as the sun emerges and shines bright down on the Wembley turf. It is Kyle Walker on the right-hand side in a little strip that comes in about 5 yards from the touchline. The only bit of shade on the pitch at the minute is De Bruyne to turn out towards the left of the D, 30 yards from the Manchester United goal. Low ball in, trying to catch out the defenders was poor, and Rashford controls it well as United want to break, and battling for it in the middle was Sancho, swarmed by Manchester City players in their sky blue shirts. Wins a free kick just outside the centre circle.
Yeah, for me the difference between the two teams is every time Manchester City are moving the ball about, every single player is really comfortable, sees pictures, moves the ball quick, and every time United, if they play through a Casemiro and Eriksen and Fernandes, then it's quick and it looks lively. But they've got Wan-Bissaka, Fred, and it just stifles us a little bit. And for me, that's the difference in the two teams.
Yeah, it just seems at the moment as Manchester United go long to Rashford into the box.
Left-hand side, lays it off for Jadon Sancho. Rodri gets back and comes in from behind, but stays on his feet. It's fair. And he clears the ball. Header though, midway inside the Manchester City half comes from Bruno Fernandes. We've played nearly 2 minutes of the 4 that were added on at the end of the first half, and United have a throw-in, almost level with the left corner of the penalty area, taken quickly by Shaw up towards the corner flag, and Fred loses out in the combination between Gündoğan and Walker, and they're both pushing each other off the ball. It's fallen to Rashford in on the left hand side. This time it is Stones to make the challenge, and it's hacked away by City out towards this near side.
Yeah, Kyle Walker was trying to play deflection off for a corner, a goal kick or a throw in there, and it went wrong and fell to Rashford. But some quick thinking by Bernardo Silva and Gündoğan to get it clear. And now it's David De Gea. Man City will have possession soon.
Based on the record of the kicking, the Manchester United goalkeeper at the end of this, throughout the entire of the first half. We are though in added time at the end of the first half on BBC Radio. Manchester Grealish tripped by Rashford, bit of a reckless challenge, and there's a Manchester City free kick, and the two England internationals come together, a little bit of pushing and shoving. It will be a Manchester City set piece.
Yes, David De Gea kicked long and Man City headed it down and took possession.
Do you know what, Dave? I haven't got a problem with you kicking long, but zing it on the floor. At least it gives your striker a chance, whereas if you're hanging up for Diaz, he's just going to gobble it up all day.
City forward.
You're saying that David can't zing it on the floor, though, aren't you?
With John Stones headed out towards the right-hand side. Here's Bernardo Silva, controls it well on the touchline on the far side, City's right. De Bruyne and Rodri combine. It is Kyle Walker, 15 yards inside the United half to the right-hand side. Now it's out to the left. Grealish tried to get hold of the ball. Yeah, he's won a free kick here. Aaron Wan-Bissaka slid in, took more of the man, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka becomes the first man in the book this afternoon. The United right back is penalised for the foul on Jack Grealish.
Yeah, I looked at a load of video of Wan-Bissaka, and I'll tell you what, he's a terrific defender. His one flaw, you would argue, is sliding in, and the booking, I have to say, is, well, it's nothing. Jack's just left his foot there. Wan-Bissaka's brushed his toe. There was no danger, and I think that's a wrong decision. VAR can't get involved because it's just a booking. On the positive side, well played Jack Grealish, because he's just drawn a foul. Yeah,
I mean, listen, I don't think he's a better footballer in England than at buying free kicks than Jack Grealish. He is an expert at putting his body in the way, but it's just a trailing leg by Wan-Bissaka that has barely brushed him. Yeah. And I think that some of the refereeing decisions
they could have been
strange.
Richie, they could have been toe contact.
Yeah, I think that is probably the best way to describe it. It's weak, but it's cost United a yellow card, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we've had the 4 minutes of added time, so this is it. Final opportunity of the first half, and it's Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne over this free kick on the left-hand side, a good 30 yards from the Manchester United goal. 5 yards in from the touchline. Kevin De Bruyne just backs Bernardo Silva away, and then the Portuguese midfielder runs over the ball. De Bruyne hooks it in. David De Gea should catch it, does catch it, and everybody will evacuate the penalty area. De Gea jogs up to the edge of his box. The whistle goes for half-time, and we're still no nearer knowing in the first ever all-Manchester FA Cup final as to who's going to win. The trophy is engraved with Manchester on it. We've no idea if it's been completed with City or United. Gündoğan after 13 seconds, a sublime volley, put City in front, and they had control and domination till VAR got involved and gave Manchester United a penalty. Handball from Jack Grealish on an Aaron Wan-Bissaka header. Bruno Fernandes converted, and it means as the teams head down the tunnel for half-time, it is Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1.
What a sensational start for Manchester City, David James, but having been in front inside 13 seconds, they haven't pressed their advantage home, and they've been punished.
Yeah, I think Mike is very used to my half-time summing up when Man City come down to London. I don't expect anything different from City. It's very rare that you see them even score early and then go on to score 4 or 5 goals or 3 or 4 goals when they come down to... I don't know what it is about London. They score, they play the same. They concede, they play the same. I think they've got so much control of the game. Just have a look at my stats here, and if they're right, I think David De Gea has made one save from Haaland when he stretched for one. Other than that, neither keeper has made a save. So it's a bit of stalemate involved, with Man City having the major part of the control. I think the frustration in this situation is obviously the way that the penalty was awarded for the handball. Jack Grealish had absolutely no idea that Wan-Bissaka was where he was. But Pep will just say continue second half and control the game.
Before this game, Richie Wellens, Eric Ten Hag said the difference between the 6-3 defeat at the Etihad early in the season and the win that United got at Old Trafford against City was belief. And what you would say about United, OK, they might have had a couple of decisions go their way in the first 45 there for the penalty and City not getting one at the other end. But despite the fact they were behind inside 13 seconds, they didn't lose belief. They hung in there and ultimately they got themselves back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the first 15 minutes were really, really difficult. And if you would have said to Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United that after 1 minute of the game that we can get to half-time 1-1, and even the nature of the goal helps us. If you would have scored from a corner and got ahead of it, would have gone in and it's 1-1, it would have been okay. Man City play the same. But when we've seen Man City lose or Pep Guardiola get that little bit frustrated, you see it a lot at Anfield when decisions don't go his way. That's kind of helped us the way that the goal has come about, because we want Man City to get frustrated. We want them to try and lose their heads a little bit, because that's the best way that you beat this Man City team. If you want to play football against them, they're just too good. And they've shown in patches, Dave just mentioned it, they've shown that they're really, really good without really going for it. They've only got one shot on target, and for the amount of possession they have, he's not really good enough from their point of view. But yeah, we're absolutely delighted to be at 1-1. A little bit of frustration on their part. And with that decision and with the last probably 7 or 8 minutes of the first half, our belief has grown.
Inevitably, when there's a VAR review like that, David, on a big decision, all the focus then comes on the officials. They've had an inconsistent first half, shall we say. That handball, I mean, we can all agree or disagree. I think by the letter of the law, that is now a handball, whether we like it or not, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not saying the officials got it wrong. You know, there's part of me is as a supporter of Manchester City.
But none of us like it, do we?
No. But the only issue I have with inconsistency, I mean, within game, because essentially it's the same group of officials, but you need that same incident to happen to see whether they're inconsistent. A tackle or a pull of a shirt is completely different to a handball. When it comes to inconsistency across refereeing, well, as long as the individuals involved here would give the same penalty in a different match, not a problem. Unless, you know, as I said, if it was the other way round, I would be finding it difficult to work out where the referee had got anything wrong. It was just that Jack Grealish literally knew nothing about it. He turned around, his arm was in the air. Yeah, it's a penalty. Fine.
Do you think it's a penalty?
Yeah.
You say the rule is a rule. I thought he was in an unnatural position. Well, I think if Jack Grealish jumps and turns his head to his left, his right arm naturally comes up. And I still don't think it's a penalty.
Yeah, Richie, I think the key thing here, and this is what I'm saying from a Man City perspective, Jack Grealish does not know what is going to happen behind him. He's not trying to make himself bigger. He turns around with his arm in the air and the ball hits his hand. I think had he lifted his arm towards the ball, then you'd have said, well, he's trying to take advantage. So the decision's right. And like I've said, and forgive me for saying this again, but having seen City play this way so many times, I don't see it as a major problem in this game. The only concern I would have is for Pep and him thinking that he might be able to make substitutions, because there is a positive correlation this season. When City aren't winning, Pep doesn't make subs. And therefore this side will have to stay out. And I'm guaranteeing you this is arguably, well, it's not even an argument, this would be the starting lineup bar Edison for the Champions League final next week. That's a concern.
At least that game's a week away. They're not, you know, if they were playing it on Wednesday night, it'd be maybe even more of a problem. But if this goes to extra time, or if this goes to extra time or penalties, that will come into the manager's thinking, Richie, that he's got another huge game next week as well.
No, Bill, we want extra time. We want extra time. We want to try and draw it out and make it as ugly as possible and try and frustrate them. And the longer the game's on, Dave, you've played at Wembley, I've played at Wembley but at a lower level, and the longer the game gets on, the pitch inevitably gets bigger. And we will drop a little bit deeper, and we have a little bit of speed in Garnacho, a little bit of speed in Alanga, and obviously Rashford, that can exploit them spaces that will get bigger as the game goes on.
Yeah, I think, and obviously I wasn't here for the build-up, but the concern I'd have, I don't want to say concerned that City can't win this game in 90 minutes, but when you look at the bench, this is the strongest outfield side that City have got. And then you'd argue who's going to improve it. I mean, Mahrez, obviously, with his record at Wembley and in the FA Cup, is a good substitute. I just think that Pep missed almost set the team out to win early and then be able to make the substitutions. Whereas at the moment, at level, he's probably, not that I know what Pep's going to do, but from previous games, he's probably going to keep this side together.
Well,
like you said, this goes to extra time. This is the last thing that City want with that
He gets more
side.
nervy for him. He gets more nervous.
Is that really what you need to try and win this?
But you know how good you are. But one thing Pep is, he's stubborn. Once he's picked a team to win the game, he will give that team every opportunity to prove him right.
Just seen the replay on the screen. After United converted the penalty, they were celebrating in front of the City supporters. Looked like a lighter was thrown into the face of Victor Lindelof, which is never nice to see. And whichever supporter has been involved in that, I'm sure, will face further action. But maybe not the wisest thing either from the Manchester United players to be celebrating right in front of the City supporters. On that penalty, a couple of your texts and tweets. Andrew Mitchell says, as a United fan, I'm delighted it was given, and by the current interpretation of the law, that's a pen, but the law is absurd. What is Jack Grealish supposed to do there? You can't jump for a header without using your arms. It's come back from behind him. There's zero intent. And Richard says, if that was given against Man United, I'd be absolutely livid. Never a pen in a million years. Never, ever. Whoever changed the handball rule to this farce needs removing from their job. David James.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, I'm saying this, I'm sat here for all the listeners in my sky blue
I'm just glad you haven't got the white Armani one on today, to be honest, David.
No, the choir before the final were wearing that. Jack Grealish jumps. I'm not buying into this you need your arms in the air for momentum nonsense. You do to get some leverage, but you don't hold your arm in the air. The one thing that goes against Jack is the fact that his hand's still in the air when he turns around. My defence for him is that he doesn't know what's happening behind him, not his body position. If you ask someone to jump in the air, you don't jump and keep your arms in the air. So had it been the other way round, I would say the Manchester United player should have put his arms down after he got his levitation. So I'd say 50-50. I can't be 50-50, but yeah, it's frustrating. The referee and the officials have made the decision. I think the beauty of this with VAR is they took their time to make sure and then did the due diligence rather than just a rash decision forcing the referee over there.
I do agree, but it is something in the summer that needs to be looked at, because if you ask 100 people, is that a penalty? I still think 60, 70 would say it's not a penalty, yet 30 would. So it's just...
I think
common sense. It's so harsh. Common sense. If the ball is coming in and you move your arm and you're facing the ball, I get it. I totally get it. It's out of you, but you cannot see the ball. Man United had it probably 7-8 years ago when Nani, the ball is coming over Nani's head in a Champions League game at Real Madrid. The ball is coming over. He goes to control it and he kicks the lad's face 6 feet in the air. He didn't see the man. So surely it has to be put on the VAR team and have a discussion. Let's throw the rule book out the window and common sense. What is common sense telling us? Jack Grealish did not see the ball. He's turning his head and it's so fast that he can't react to it. And for me, it's not a penalty.
Nigel Glegor.
Can't believe it. This man is on the red side as well. But I have to agree. When you look at the penalty kick, it was no intent by Jack Grealish. You can't jump without putting your hands in the air. He's turned round and his hand's gone up.
He didn't need to keep his hand up though, did he, Nigel?
Well, it was jumping.
No, he was Nigel, in the air.
Maybe we should go and do some Irish dancing because they keep their hands by the side. Maybe the players should learn that now. But that aside, it is a penalty because that's what's been given, and that's the new law that's out now. But there's been 2 other incidents. I'm not sure whether we're checked by VAR.
Well, I wanted to mention this one, Nigel. We'll talk about the penalty for City in a minute, but Mark Abels tweeted in and says, don't know how that wasn't given as a red card for Casemiro.
That's the big
Studs
one.
up, dangerous, nowhere near the ball,
big one.
and then pretends he's hurt to try and get out of it.
Correct. He's got previous. That to me
he got
was
the free kick as well.
He got the free kick. He nearly done a Kanji really proper there, and I was just going to question why wasn't that one taken to VAR, and was the penalty taken to VAR? Because Fred didn't know where I think it was Silva coming into the box, didn't know where he was, De Bruyne, and he's put his foot across him and tripped him over. I've seen penalties given for that, so there's inconsistencies with everything. How Casemiro has got away with that is absolutely beyond me. I don't know how he gets away with it all the time.
You've all played the game, and as a spectator, when I see this, some players do get away with some things, and also when it happens in the game. If that from Casemiro happens in the 80th minute, he probably does get a red card, but he doesn't get it in the 10th minute.
Yeah, you make a great point. I mean, and like Nigel said, the issue here isn't what was seen or done. Well, I mean, obviously what was done. The referee didn't see it. He thought it was a foul against Casemiro and gave the free kick accordingly. The VAR had an opportunity to have a look at that, and I saw a replay on it. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, that is a stamp on an ankle. And I
It
wasn't
looks
sure
worse
because
every time you see it.
Well, I wasn't sure whether Casemiro had kicked the ball and followed through, or completely how it happened. But that was an opportunity to VAR. But if they feel that's not a foul, then we have to trust that their decision making is right. Just like the handball, we might not agree with it, but we have to trust that they believe it was the right decision.
The thing is, though, David, if that wasn't seen by the referee, the handball, it's gone to VAR, and that's fair enough. But that wasn't seen by the referee.
Every decision goes to VAR. So I think VAR are watching the game, and if the referee doesn't, they will obviously put their interpretation.
So if they haven't seen that tackle, then whoever's doing the
I think they would have seen it, but they've decided it wasn't a red card.
We've all played. That was a bad tackle. Without any shadow of a doubt.
I'm trying to be quiet here. We've had a little bit of look at this. I'm trying to be quiet.
Yeah, and David wants to get a black coffee before the second half kicks off as well. So.
And I have to say,
I'm still looking for Dave. Dave owes me fish and chips.
I have to say that City haven't played as well consistently as they normally do. You talked about that well-oiled machine, Richie, when we first
a little bit slow,
met.
Far too slow today.
Too slow, and some of their passing when they've got in promising situations has been a bit loose. I've not seen City giving the ball up as easily as that in these areas. I've seen De Bruyne, I've seen Stones, one or two others just give the ball away.
Well, I've got to say, Nigel, having seen plenty of City, especially down here in London, this is what I consider quite typical. I mean, when you think their best win, I think, away from home was 3-1 against Arsenal. And in that game, it was scrappy as anything. It was long ball tactics, and City basically outmuscled them. I'm not surprised by what I'm seeing. The penalty aside, this would be a typical City game. And that's why all the listeners at home, I think, especially if you're supporting City, because I know some of you will be supporting United, but for City fans at home, I think because this is typical, you shouldn't be concerned going into the second half. My only concern, I repeat myself, is whether Pep thought that he could have made this a lot more comfortable and therefore make changes.
Yeah.
One game at a time, though.
Yeah, it is one game at a time, but when you look at the bench, there are some changes that can be made with Mahrez. Foden can come and change the game, both of those, and there's one or two others. So
Alvarez,
it may be
Alvarez
that
the top player.
Yeah, Alvarez. And what you say is quite true. He doesn't like making changes. He's picked a side to win the game, and if that takes 90 minutes, he'll leave them there. That's what he does.
The officials are on the way back out. Go on, David.
According to my records, neither City or United have lost at a 3 o'clock kickoff this season. We could be into extra time with penalties.
There's something else that's got to give.
There has to be a winner and a loser today, even if it goes all the way to a penalty shootout. The second half is imminent. The two teams are emerging from the tunnel down in front of us. We better get right back to our commentary team. David James on BBC Radio Manchester, Richie Wellens alongside him, Nigel Gleghorn and Gazdrick Water 2, and first Mike Minor.
Bill Rice, thank you very much. The Manchester United players out, some little jogs in and around some flat cones on the turf down at Wembley, which has seen two big moments in this game. An electric start from City with Ilkay Gundogan's opener before Bruno Fernandes from the penalty spot. What awaits us here at Wembley? The Manchester City players are gathering in the tunnel. It's a last-minute team talk from Rodri as they sprint out onto the pitch. Manchester United, no changes for them at the break. Red shirts, black shorts and black socks will be from right to left, now attacking the end of Wembley, where those faithful Reds are housed. And Manchester City in their sky blue shirts, white shorts and sky blue socks are preparing to go left to right and attack the end that is shrouded in blue and white to our right hand side. Well, what lies in store? What's ahead? What twists and turns do we have next? BBC Radio Manchester, the place to be for the 2023 FA Cup final. We are underway with Jadon Sancho starting proceedings for the second 45 minutes. United go long from the kick-off, and it's out of play off a Manchester City head for a United throwing on the halfway line, far side, their right. Thrown back by Wan-Bissaka, uses Varane, who uses David De Gea, and let's see if he's learnt anything new at half-time on his kicking. It is a good long kick to the head of Jadon Sancho, knocked down to Marcus Rashford. Rodri was in quickly to take it away for City. Ball runs out to the far right touchline, and Wan-Bissaka stops it going out of play. And here is Fred now with a side-footed pass to the right-hand side. Eriksen then flicks it up. It's a nice little bit to create some space for Bruno Fernandes towards the corner of the penalty area. Sancho allowed to turn up against Gündoğan. Sancho into the penalty area. Still Sancho. Just too many blue shirts in his way as he tried to wriggle free in the penalty area. City have it out on the far side, but Jack Grealish is going to be backed into a corner here. He finds a route through to Ruben Diaz, who sends it long. Header comes from Casemiro, only to the feet of De Bruyne. He launches it up in the air, asking Haaland to chase, and the ball runs on through into the United box, and David De Gea just picks it up one-handed rather coolly. So we've had just over a minute of the second half. Richie Wellens, former United midfielder, and David James, former City and England goalkeeper, with us here on BBC Radio Manchester this afternoon. And early days of the second half, Richie Wellens, but a good start for United.
Yeah, good start, good little dribble by Jadon Sancho, got in the box. Unfortunately didn't quite ricochet his way, but that's positive, being aggressive, being on the front foot. It's an excellent start.
Yeah, it was interesting, that ball there as you described it. David De Gea kicking in midfield. I think City thought it was going long, and Manchester United kept possession, shall I say. And obviously Ten Hag has had words at half-time and got them to play slightly differently. It'd be interesting to see how long City will allow them to do that, given that we're only a couple of minutes into the second half. And David De Gea has given Man City the ball back.
You cursed him, didn't you?
First kick was good, second kick
but I do believe that if he's going long, give your striker the chance. And we're not blessed with 6'4" strikers. You need to put in an area where they can buy fouls.
But he's on the bench.
Well, yeah, but that, again, why are we playing that tactic when the biggest guy is on the bench? But give your forwards a chance.
Weghorst is the man they're on about with Manchester United, as both managers again remain on the edge of their technical areas. It's a long way from the dugouts to the edge of the pitch here at Wembley. They have to walk past some advertising hoardings, so you will often find that both managers spend a lot of time. City played a backward pass there that is Scott Manuel Akanji really sprinting out to the far side. He keeps it in play, only just, but it's good enough where Manchester City are concerned. And ball back with Ortega. Goes down the middle, John Stones. He's got his back to the rest of the pitch. He's got to be careful, but so calmly and coolly turns Marcus Rashford. He's a man playing with confidence at the minute, John Stones, and just showed it there as Kyle Walker, far from confident, pass into the middle from the right-hand side. He's good on the recovery, he wins it back, but his initial pass was poor and picked off by a red shirt of Manchester United. 1-1, 3 minutes into the second half on BBC Radio Manchester. Anywhere in the UK on BBC Sounds. Here is Stones.
I'll tell you what, if John Stones was Brazilian, we'd be purring over him. What a player. What a player.
I love him. I player over him. What I'm finding interesting here, and again, this is what happened in the first half. Man United aren't putting any pressure on the City back line when they're in possession.
And that has allowed City to come forward. Bernardo Silva's flicked through a pass. It became the point right across the 6-yard box. It was past Gündoğan and it was past Haaland. It's run out to the far side, and Haaland so close to getting an FA Cup goal at Wembley. Wan-Bissaka clears it away for United for now. Suddenly Bernardo Silva on the reverse pass put De Bruyne through, and it was inches away, one side or the other, for a tap-in for City.
Dave, it's a really good point you make, that United are allowing Man City, like now, pass it back to Diaz, comfortable possession, goes back out, goes into midfield, comfortable possession. But what do you do against this team? Do you press them high up?
But this is the point, Richie. So now that Man City at the moment are in Manchester United's half, when it's in the Manchester City box, Man City's forwards aren't ready. They're all offside. Yeah. And if United pressed, it would force City into a pass which they don't want to do. I
totally agree, but they're too scared. Ten Hag, they're too scared. That's the reasoning behind it. You want to protect the space in behind you all the time against this team.
De Bruyne caught by Fred as he darted down the right-hand side. He tried to pull it back and then flicked down towards the byline, but Fred left a trailing leg, and Kevin De Bruyne is down here and he's not looking comfortable either. Manchester City will have a free kick right on the touchline near side, 10 yards from the byline. David James.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne on the right foot looks to go back upfield, cuts back inside, and Fred has just taken him out knee high. Kevin's bending over, fortunately he's to his feet now, but he was holding his knee for a little while there. The good thing about this, apart from the fact he just got booted, is it looks like Kevin De Bruyne is up for the second half.
De Bruyne, whose range in the first half was a little bit off at times, now has to find a perfect delivery into the box here for Manchester City. 1-1 the score, 5 minutes gone in the second half in the FA Cup final. City against United, the first time we've ever had an all-Manchester final. City took the lead, United levelled, and now City want to go back in front. De Bruyne skips it to the edge of the box. It falls for Gündoğan on the volley, dipping, and in! He's done it again! Ilkay Gündoğan at the double for Manchester City, who set themselves for the double yet again. Outside of the penalty area, craft and ingenuity from De Bruyne, a low finish from Gündoğan, and Manchester City are back in front. Manchester City 2, Manchester United 1.
Well, I tell you what, the record book was already broken with the quickest goal in an FA Cup final. I think someone needs to search their record books to see how many outside the box volleys have been scored in a cup final. As you said, Kevin De Bruyne's delivery wasn't so great in the first half. He's put across the box early on in this second half, but it's come to Gündoğan, and to be fair, it's an awkward volley for him because it's come tight into him, but he's managed to get a good purchase. It is literally on the edge of the D. It's bounced once, maybe even twice.
Shinned it.
Yeah, and David De Gea, I think I'm going to defend David De Gea. He will not see that ball until it's gone past the bodies, even if he knew Gündoğan was going to volley it. But wow, talk about captain incredible.
Two things. Fred is ill-disciplined, shouldn't give a free kick away where Kevin De Bruyne is not going anywhere. And then, okay, we're zonal, but we've got 6 in the line on only 2 blockers, which allows them to float the ball to the edge of the box and get a free strike. And if you give players like Gündoğan a free strike from the edge of the box, you always run the risk. We don't need 6 in the line to zonal mark with only 2. Ooh.
That's back from Manchester City, right on the goal line. Had Ortega with a bit of a scuff clearance. It works. Carry on, Richie.
Yeah, David, I tell you, as a goalkeeper, you've got 6 in line, but there's only 3 in there. So you can release one of them from the 6 to make 3 blockers rather than 2, and it just leaves you light on the edge of the box.
Richie, one thing I would say is you shouldn't mind a player volleying from outside the box.
But when you're talking about top players, he's just done one in the first minute.
Yeah, that was.
Why run the risk?
Yeah.
Ericsson goes long to the right-hand side. Manchester United now need a quick response. They're trying to get it. Space in the middle for Sancho. Right corner of the penalty area. Oh, Wan-Bissaka goes down. Referee unmoved. And it's out of play for a City throw-in on the far side, midway inside the Manchester City half. Let's see how that went down in and amongst the fans. Gaz Drinkwater.
I mean, there's a tinge of blue across Wembley now as a blue smoke bomb went off in the City end of the stadium. There's yellow inflatable bananas being bounced all over the show, and the blue side of Wembley is on its feet. 2 volleys in an FA Cup final by one player. Absolutely phenomenal. It's currently the City fans making all the noise.
Ilkay Gündoğan at the double for Manchester City. Scored here in September for Germany against England in a 3-3 draw. That scoreline isn't out of the realm of possibility from here, as Ortega was well out of his goal. The cries of hit it from Richie Wellens on Bruno Fernandes, who didn't. Cross on the right-hand side of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, headed down easily by Diaz to the byline and hacked away by Manuel Akanji on the far side. United regain the possession. They seem more on the front foot than they did when they conceded in the first half, Richie Wellens. They want to get back at City as quickly as they can. Yeah, they've responded quite well. I'm just surprised that Bruno didn't turn and try and hit that with the goalkeeper out of his net. Usually Bruno tries things like that and he does see pitches pretty early, but it's been a half decent response by United. Back with the City right back of Kyle Walker. City who beat Chelsea, Arsenal, Bristol City, Burnley and Sheffield United without conceding a goal. The first side to reach the final since 1966 without conceding a goal. They did concede with Bruno Fernandes' penalty. Here is Stones forward, not too far outside the United penalty area. It goes down, free kick. Again, another foul in a dangerous position by the Reds, and again, it's Fred with the loose legs.
He doesn't move his feet. Just just move. You're not playing against Kevin. You're playing against John Stone. Just move your feet, shuffle the, let him pass sideways, let him pass back. Again, he commits, he gives a foul away, and you've got a set play expert who's going to put the ball on the money again.
I think this is indicative of United this half, that with why these incidents are happening, is the fact that they look a little bit scared in their defence. John Stones over touches the ball there. If Fred had been on the front foot, he would have retrieved that ball and done a turnover. Instead, as I say, being a bit passive and ended up giving away the foul.
United beat Everton, Reading, West Ham and Fulham before Brighton on penalties to be here. Penalties an option if we're level at the end of 90 minutes in extra time. Free kick here for Manchester City. It is 35 yards from goal. Does Kevin De Bruyne get his sighters on David De Gea's net from here? To the right of centre, the ball is laid. No, it's clipped into the box. Header from Diaz. Where's it going to fall? Haaland pokes out a leg on the right of the penalty area. Sancho has it down on the floor, but his clearance outside the box is picked off by Kevin De Bruyne, who this time does go for goal, and it takes a deflection off Victor Lindelof and goes behind for a corner. David De Gea was flat-footed, and for a moment this stadium held its breath, knowing that might have gone in the back of the net.
Yeah, he's about 23 yards out, level with the right-hand side of the box. I think it was a whip across the front, an early whip, which we're very familiar with Kevin De Bruyne. But as I say, he's taken a wicked deflection. Fortunately for David De Gea, and Manchester United's gone out for the corner. Fortunately for City, Kevin De Bruyne has taken the corner.
Out swinging delivery from Kevin De Bruyne. 11 minutes gone in the second half. He clips it to the edge of the 6-yard box. It's a good header away from Christian Eriksen, who now exits the penalty area. The ball falls to the feet of Kyle Walker on the edge of the centre circle. Manchester City left to right in this second half with the sky blue shirts. United in those red outfits from right to left. It is Diaz in the sunshine to the edge of the centre circle, where İlkay Gündoğan, the double goal scorer for Manchester City, who are closing in on a double and have a potential treble in their sights. Here's Diaz in the centre circle, down the middle for Rodri. The run is made by İlkay Gündoğan, but not seen by the Spaniard. Out towards the left it goes for Jack Grealish, marshalled well as he has been throughout the game by Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who wins the ball up against Jack Grealish. And United now have the ball in the middle of the Manchester City half with Fernandes, who's looking towards the edge of the penalty area. Luke Shaw's made himself available out towards the left-hand side, draws level with the corner of the box. He lays it in field for Sancho. Can't turn it in for Fernandes, and City now break the game, becoming a little stretched, a little open. Here's Gündoğan on the halfway line. Only De Bruyne and Haaland ahead of him, and neither in a suitable position to release the pass for. 12 minutes gone in the second half. City 2, United 1.
Yeah, that little breakaway there, I mean, good defending to start with. The run from Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne actually was so good, not because they were on for a pass, but they just spread the field, allowing Gündoğan to keep control of the ball. And now we're back to City in possession. Manchester United around the edge of the box.
Yeah, good defending by Wan-Bissaka. I actually think he's performed really well against Jack Grealish. When does he get to a stage where you might bring somebody on just more attacking on that right-hand side, just to give us an outlet from full-back? But yeah, responded okay. Another transition here. We can play Marcus over the top. Casemiro just dwelling on the ball there.
And instantly just passed it out to Manuel Akanji in the left-back position of Manchester City, who lead 2-1. Here is Jack Grealish down the left-hand side for Gündoğan. He has a look up instantly for Haaland, puts a deep cross in that goes over the Norwegian and by some distance, and out for a Manchester United throwing on this near side.
Yeah, you're saying, I mean, Manchester United are looking a little bit better than they were, considering they just conceded. But Erling Haaland looks like he's getting frustrated, Mike. The fact that he isn't on the score sheet and Gündoğan has got two. So hopefully, because he hasn't had a shot yet, he had that one shot against David De Gea in the second half, Erling Haaland can get some more ball.
Just realised we've not run you through the two teams in this second half yet. Ortega in goal for Manchester City. Walker, Diaz and Akanji, the back three, joined by John Stones at times. Rodri and Gündoğan hold that midfield. De Bruyne, Bernardo and Grealish support Erling Haaland up front. Ball runs out of play. It will be a Manchester City throw-in. David De Gea in goal for the Reds. Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Varane and Shaw the back four. Fred and Casemiro hold the midfield. Bruno Eriksen and Sancho in front. And Marcus Rashford, just one goal in his last 5 games. Did have a purple patch just post-World Cup with his 10 goals in 10 games for Rashford. He leads the line for United. The bench for both sides: Ederson for City, Phillips, Ake, Laporte, Alvarez, Mahrez, Foden, Palmer and Lewis. Plenty of attacking options there for the Blues. For United, Jack Butland, who might have come on in the first half. De Gea went down for a period. He's okay now though. Maguire, Malacia, Dalot, Weghorst, Pellistri, Alanga, McTominay and Garnacho. Where Richie Wellens with United 2-1 down, could they potentially turn to?
Well, I'm just looking at Garnacho getting stripped. I think that if we can get Bruno Fernandes in the middle of the pitch and get more pace on the sides, I think that will definitely help us. I think Christian Eriksen is looking a little bit leggy, maybe he potentially might come off. I've seen Jadon Sancho hold his hamstring, but I would like to see Bruno Fernandes in the middle of the pitch.
City have it on the halfway line. Let's get some reaction to a potential United substitution of Alejandro Garnacho and how it's going to go down with the fans. Gaz Drinkwater.
Yeah, a slight cheer from the Manchester United fans to our left as they realise the young teenage Argentine sensation Alejandro Garnacho looks to be entering the fray. He changed the derby at Old Trafford, of course, setting up the Marcus Rashford winner. Will he be able to have an impact today with his team 2-1 down in the FA Cup final?
Thanks, Gaz. He's going to have an impact. United trail here at Wembley on BBC Radio Manchester. We've hit the hour mark, 15 minutes into the second half, and Ilkay Gündoğan is the man with both goals for Manchester City. Here he is on the ball right now, trying to slide it down the middle for Kevin De Bruyne, who creates some space. He moves to the left of the box. De Bruyne saved by the legs of David De Gea, and with some power too, because it exits the box. It comes to the right hand side. Bernardo Silva and John Stones, clipped up by Stones to the back post. Grealish rises, runs on free for Kevin De Bruyne. No, it doesn't. Free kick to Manchester United. Grealish too hard in the back of Varane there, who stretched and was arcing his back under the pressure from Grealish. Free kick to United, but before that, the substitution, and it's going to be Christian Eriksen off for the Reds, Alejandro Garnacho on.
Yeah, I think it's a good substitution. Put Christian Eriksen in as a 10 and put Garnacho. I think if Garnacho can isolate Akanji, you know, he is quick, he is direct, and I think that will be a good outlet for us. But when Man City move it at a pace, they just open you up. They're just a different level for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a wonderful build-up play. Unfortunately for Kevin De Bruyne, he's actually topped the ball, didn't get a good connection on it, and it made it an easy save for David De Gea. But and again, this is the thing, Richie, when you see City play enough, things just don't seem to be happening, and all of a sudden one or two passes and they're in on goal.
Nearly another big goal in a big game for Kevin De Bruyne. Scored crucial goals against Arsenal at both the Etihad and Emirates Stadiums. Scored a big goal in the Bernabeu in the first leg of the semi-final of the Champions League against Real Madrid. And now nearly put Manchester City 3-1 up over Manchester United here at Wembley in the FA Cup final. 62 minutes played. City 2, United 1. Never before have these two met in a major final. Plenty of build-up has been provided by BBC Radio Manchester. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage live from Wembley over the last 24 hours. But it doesn't end just yet. Stay with us, because you just have the feeling there is more drama to come. Here is Rodri. Bernardo Silva right on the right-hand touchline, the near side for this, the Blues in this second half. Here is Gündoğan on the edge of the centre circle. Just turns it back into City territory with Ruben Diaz, central position now. Here is Rodri. John Stones has found a pocket of space. A little bit too easy. Stones from distance. Well, I know it's magic weekend in Super League. Cracking conversion that by John Stones. Terrible shot. And it remains City 2, United 1.
Yeah, again, patient build-up play. Absolutely right, letting John Stones shoot from there. Maybe that's just a little bit of overconfidence. But I was going to say, Mike, I just don't understand this. David De Gea gets on the ball and, again, kicks long, loses possession. I have to say, going into next season, I know we've got to get these games out of the way first, this game out of the way first. But if Manchester United think they're going to win things or win leagues when your goalkeeper's giving away possession so frequently, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, they want him to stay in this week. Eric Ten Hag, the Manchester United manager, did say even if he does stay, he isn't guaranteed the number one spot. David De Gea, a man who today makes his 545th Manchester United appearance in all competitions. He is the Premier League Golden Glove winner this season with 17 clean sheets, the 32-year-old from Spain. But he has conceded twice here, and it's Manchester City who lead 2-1. 64 minutes played. It is a header from John Stones, and De Bruyne tries to win it and keep it in Manchester City possession. Haaland helping him out too. It just runs back up towards the halfway line, where Rodri can use Kyle Walker, and the ball bypasses Garnacho and Fernandes, and City have it again as Rodri sprays it out towards the left-hand side. Here is Grealish up against Wan-Bissaka, uses De Bruyne down the left-hand channel. He'll hold it up against Fred. He's already fouled De Bruyne once in this second half, which led to the City second goal. Fred, though, gets the better of the Belgian this time, then, as he weaves his way past Jack Grealish. He's caught. It will be a Manchester United free kick.
Yeah, good defending by Fred. I think the problem then when Fred wins the ball, he dribbles and he dribbles, doesn't really know what to do with it. But interesting that Garnacho's caught on the left. I don't really understand that. You put in Garnacho, who is pure pace, against, for me, one of the fastest defenders in the Premier League. Kyle Walker's going to look at Garnacho, as he done with the Vinicius Junior, and go, go on in, run me. When if you put Jadon Sancho up against Kyle Walker, he's going to come inside, he's going to find little pockets, and he's going to give Kyle Walker decisions to make. I would put Garnacho over to the right and race Akanji and give him something to think about. Akanji's a centre half by trade. He's not going to be comfortable running out wide in straight line sprints.
Yeah, but if you leave Garnacho out on the left hand side, you keep Kyle Walker out of the play.
But we're behind, David. We need a goal.
But the long ball through the middle, as Marcus Rashford's in the middle, then it's a foot race between Diaz, Stones and Rashford, and I would fancy Rashford in that race.
Yeah, but I also think if you're getting Jadon Sancho to come in pockets and you want Kyle Walker to follow you, you're also leaving that channel for Marcus Rashford to run into as well.
And right now Rashford is part of the trio, along with Garnacho and Bruno Fernandes, trying to chase down the Manchester City defence. A pacey ball by Kyle Walker into his own penalty area for Stefan Ortega, who then rolls it down the middle under the pressure of Bruno Fernandes, and Garnacho takes them out of the game, and Rodri can stride forward into the Manchester United half. Just got caught making his mind up what to do with it, loses possession as United challenge, and then Garnacho runs infield, and it's all too easy for John Stones to get the better of him. Slight difference in size and muscle maybe, and it's Gündoğan coming forward now. Rodri just uses his hands on his knees down, either kind of catch his breath or he strains something in that little run forward. Gündoğan finds Grealish on the left-hand side. It's hands on the hips from Rodri. It is hot pitch side. We were down there yesterday, similar temperatures. No breeze in this huge, bold arena of Wembley Stadium. Half blue, half red. It is the blue half singing loud and proud at the minute. Manchester City 2, Manchester United 1. We're almost at the midway point of the second half. United have made one substitution with Alejandro Garnacho. Their manager Eric Ten Hag stands arms folded on the edge of his technical area. Richie Wellens, is there anything else he should or could change right now?
Well, at the moment, Manchester City are playing with a strut. They're playing with a composure and a strut. They're standing on the ball. I know Gundogan's going to get all the credits. They scored at Wembley, right foot volley and a left foot volley from outside the box. But John Stones is just, for me, he's the best player on the pitch. He's having the biggest influence. And David just spoke about a philosophy and a way that you want your team to win things. For me, the goalkeeper's come in and he's just a carbon copy of Ederson, and he just plays through line and takes 5 players out of the game in the press, something that Manchester United can't do.
United on the right-hand side, get it towards the corner of the box, lose out. Wan-Bissaka involved in the play, Bruno Fernandes too. It is on the halfway line now with the Reds. Here is Victor Lindelof in the centre circle, and he'll come forward down the middle, just breezes slightly to the left, moves back more right of centre. Here is Fernandes, 25 yards out. Rashford's got space and let's rip, but it's over the bar, looking for the top right-hand corner. He didn't really get near enough to it. Chasing United's equaliser. Still City 2, United 1.
Yeah, good football by United. The game's open a little bit now. When City are playing, they're in control, in possession. But when we do win the ball back now, there is little gaps starting to appear. And usually, he's not many better than Marcus Rashford at hitting balls from that distance. He's just probably tried to go laces too much and keep it down. Again, the goalkeeper's not really had a save to make, which is a big frustration from our part.
Yeah, if you're City, again, like you say, I agree. Marcus Rashford is one of the better players from shooting from distance, but you don't mind that. You'd much rather have him shooting from distance, unless it was Gündoğan, of course.
Now you're just rubbing it in, David.
I apologise.
Here is Stones. Richie Wellens, former United midfielder, and David James, former City and England goalkeeper, with us on BBC Radio Manchester this afternoon. Rodri stands on the ball just inside the Manchester United half. Stones, Akanji on the left, and back to the edge of the centre circle on the halfway line for Ruben Diaz. Here is Stones, pacey ball, and had he got there, had he got enough legs, then Bernardo Silva would have been in space on the right hand side. It runs over the touchline and it's out of play for a Manchester United throw.
Yeah, there's some wonderful movement from Kevin De Bruyne there. He stood on the right-hand side. He just came inside. He indicated to go out for Stones to pass the ball outright to Bernardo Silva. Had he not hit it so hard, then Bernardo Silva would have been in free space. The movement from City just there, even with Gündoğan, who's staying more central for that build-up play. John Stones, as you said, Richie, he seems to be the one who's pulling strings at the moment.
They're playing with a real stroke now. You look at Diaz now. They're just standing on the ball and really getting in the zones that Pep wants them to be. Again, goalkeeper standing on the ball, play for a line, back foot, play for a line. It's really good by Man City. He's just, I was here in 2010 against Barcelona when he just toyed with us. And the last 6 or 7 minutes, apart from a couple of times on transition, he's been very similar to that.
20 minutes to go in the FA Cup final on BBC Radio Manchester. Manchester City leading 2-1. Ortega away to our left-hand side. Sends it long. Haaland against Varane. Haaland seems to have got the initial edge. The ball is laid off to Ilkay Gündoğan. Grealish has made the run down the left-hand side towards the corner flag. That's where Gündoğan puts the ball. He's in on the box. Gündoğan didn't go for goal. Tried to knock it at Haaland. Didn't happen. Here is Haaland and saved by De Gea. Gündoğan!
Offside.
Offside. Denied a hat-trick. It's been 70 years since Wembley saw a hat-trick, and Ilkay Gündoğan has it denied by the linesman on this near side.
Wan-Bissaka might be playing him on. He's the one that's a little bit slow in getting up.
We will go to VAR.
This is going to be closest with Wan-Bissaka, I think.
Grealish in. Gündoğan's initial ball was looking for Haaland. It comes back out to Grealish. Haaland takes a swipe at it. Saved by De Gea. And Gündoğan on the follow-up is offside. It won't count. It is still City 2, United 1. VAR fools us all. And De Gea goes long with his kick. He pushed every United player forward away from the penalty area. And it's wasted. And Walker can send it long up towards the halfway line from the right back position. Shaw battling for it with Rodri. Garnacho does well. Here he is, edge of the penalty area. Curling effort! And inches wide of the right hand post to get United level. Ortega was panicking. City were worried. They needn't have in the end, but that was close from the little Argentine. It remains 2-1.
That's what he's capable of, cutting in from the left. He is an impact player in terms of coming off at the bench at the minute. He's not really been in the game since he's come off, but that's a good little thing. We spoke about that's what causes Kyle Walker problems. When you go inside in pockets, when you're running straight lines, Kyle Walker will have you all day long. But when you're coming off the line, I think it's always wide. I think the keeper's probably got it if it's going in. Has he? Maybe not. But yeah, just always going wide.
That was a wonderful bit of play there, and what Garnacho had done there, he just stayed in that pocket, that little hole there to be able to create the space. No City players near him. The shot just trying to use, I think he was trying to use Diaz as a bit of a shield to curl it round, and I think Stefan Ortega will be saying thank you.
Header on the halfway line from United. They trail 2-1. Rashford sends it up in the air with his head. Here is Fred getting the ball down on the deck. Out towards the right-hand side. The red shirts of United coming forward. The cross is in early. Headed away by Diaz. Next up was Rashford. Ball comes back out to Fernandes again. The cross takes a deflection. On the far side, the right, Manchester United have a corner.
Yeah, we've looked threatening from corners before. Casemiro likes to make that run across the front, which can cause problems. And listen, this is a good little momentum from United. If we can keep pushing on the front foot. Again, I would be thinking about Weghorst now. Just if the ball's going to go in the box, we do need a bit more physicality than just Marcus Rashford stuck in on his own.
Corner is out swinging. It goes towards the back post, but it will bounce away from the box. Shaw is the first man to get hold of it for Manchester United. Here is Fred, scoops it up left-footed. It's a good one. Heads go up. Manchester City volley it away through Kevin De Bruyne on the far side of the box. It comes into the centre circle. Aaron Wan-Bissaka mops it up for Manchester United, who are trailing 2-1 with 16 minutes left here at the National Stadium. Phil Foden preparing to come on for Manchester City. One of their own. As United's one of their own in Marcus Rashford goes chasing down the left-hand side. Holds it up on the byline, needs support. Has Garnacho. Further down the touchline if he wants to use him. Rashford lays it infield, goes past Garnacho, uses Casemiro instead. Here is Fred. Nowhere to go. Goal bound anyway for Manchester United. Rashford doesn't really want to peel away to the left. He lays it into the box. Chance here for United to keep it alive. Fred with the low ball in. not too far ahead of Garnacho and not enough distance on it as the shot will come in from Varane, but easily blocked. Fernandes also looking to get involved for United. They trail 2-1, quarter of an hour left. It is a big 15 minutes ahead here for Manchester United and Manchester City. Richie Wellington, David James.
Really good passage of play. I would be taking Fred off now. He's slowing the game down too much. Casemiro, you see him in a 10 position there. He's gambling. He's making more runs in a box. I would think about putting McTominay on and taking Fred off.
Too easy for United here. Garnacho in on the left hand side. Garnacho with the shot. The block comes in from John Stones. Here's Casemiro. Flicked through casually by Fernandes. Garnacho goes chasing again. Casemiro.
No chance. That's not a free kick.
Commits the foul on the edge of the box. It did look soft, but that's the way that the referee Paul Turney's read it. And City survive another United threat.
Not a free kick for me. Casemiro's got the flight of the ball. Been strong, too big and strong for Bernardo Silva, whose obviously strength is not dealing with aerial balls, but it's not a free kick. We look at Jadon Sancho now. He's really, really struggling. He's going to come off soon, and at least Man City are only going to bring Phil Foden on.
Yeah, I think I can see why the free kick was given. Casemiro has jumped he's jumped where the ball is, but he's used his chest into the back and given away the free kick. Kevin De Bruyne coming off for Phil Foden.
What do you make to that, David James?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I was saying Kevin De Bruyne was on it, he's putting a couple of nice balls, obviously, for the goals. They need some more movement up front, I think, and I think you're going to get that with Phil Foden, because as Richie starts to get happy with United's bit of momentum within the game, Phil Foden, I think, is the guy who can just relieve some of that.
Yeah, I think he can just control the game and slow it down and knit passes together.
Phil Foden scored a hat-trick against Manchester United in the derby in October. He called that surreal. What Manchester City are on the verge of as it stands is even more surreal. A treble. This would be part 2. Part 1 lifted 2 weeks ago with the Premier League. This would be the second part, and then it's the Champions League final in Istanbul a week today, and we will be live on BBC Radio Manchester, and Wout Weghorst is preparing to come on for Manchester United. Their tall striker scored in the Europa League, a cup competition, scored in the League Cup, a cup competition for Manchester United, but can he get the biggest goal of his short stint in a red shirt under Erik ten Hag? He splashes his face and washes his hair with water, cooling himself down before things get a little bit heated on the pitch. Walker, right hand side, as City look to get on the attack. City 2, United 1, and we have 13 minutes left in the FA Cup final. It's Bernardo Silva sends it in. It gets deflected away from Haaland, but only falls to Rodri on the corner of the box. Bernardo wants to clip it in again. Haaland used one of those big long legs to bring the ball down out of the air, almost when it seemed beyond him. Fernandes is caught, and Manchester United, before they take the free kick, will have a substitution, and that substitution is going to see Jadon Sancho off and Wout Weghorst come on.
Disappointing again, Jadon Sancho. Disappointing. These are what you play Borussia Dortmund 70-80 million pound, whatever it was. I mean, he's coming off. It looks like it's fatigue, not fit enough, not sharp enough, not good enough to real impact a game, which is a huge game for him. So another disappointing day by Jadon Sancho. Hopefully Weghorst can come and add a little bit of physicality, and hopefully a ball can land to him in the box.
See how United change their tactics, perhaps. We'll get the reaction of the fans from Gas Drink Water in a minute. Part of our team this afternoon on BBC Radio Manchester, as it's played down the left for Jack Grealish, who drops a shoulder, allowed the ball to bounce, but he's in front of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who cuts across him and commits the foul. Was it Fred? It was Fred, my apologies. Fred fouls him. Manchester City fans want to see a yellow card for that. So Weghorst on. What's the reaction from the United crowd? Gaz Drinkwater.
Yeah, there was definitely a cheer from the Manchester United crowd there, and it's not necessarily based on anything Wout Weghorst has already done in a Manchester United shirt. Only scored 2 goals, not got 1 Premier League goal, but it's the fact that, well, if anyone's due one, it has to be him. He made headlines at the last trip to Wembley, scoring in the penalty shootout, celebrating on his knees as he ran towards the Manchester United fans. And I tell you what, these Manchester United fans would happily see him here for another season if he were to get a goal or 2 today. Let's see if Wout Weghorst can keep Manchester United in the FA Cup.
I'll speak on behalf of 99.99% of fans that we need better than Wout Weghorst if we're going to get back to where we belong.
2 goals in 30 games in all competitions for Manchester United. Wout Weghorst, if he scores here, they'll be building statues. Foden beats the offside trap, left hand side, block comes in, they want handball, Manchester City fans, that doesn't come. Foden twists and turns, stands the ball up, Haaland will get himself in possession. This is Bernardo Silva, drags it across, Akanji sliding in and doesn't connect. He'll be millimetres away from that on the replays, no doubt. It's a goal kick to United and they go quickly. David James.
Yeah, again, some great build-up play there, some great movement by Man City. Unfortunately, Haaland, who was the initial target for that cross, wasn't able to get on the end of it. But as you say, it was very, very close for the playing for. Sorry, I'm just looking at a replay here. They're shouting for a possible handball. I don't think so. His arm was down by his side when the ball was trying to be crossed there.
Doesn't look like the referee is going to stop play anyway. Pep Guardiola threw his hands on the back of his head when that ball was put across from Bernardo Silva. And Manuel Akanji, one of the bargain buys of the season, very nearly connected. City 2, United 1. There are 10 minutes left of the 90 in this FA Cup final at Wembley, an all Manchester affair. Manchester United fans stood up away to our left-hand side, all with red, black and white bucket hats on their head. They were given by the club. As City come down the right-hand side, Foden is fouled.
Yeah, and it looks like Manchester United are going to make another change here with McTominay getting instructions from Ten Hag on the sideline. I don't know what you're thinking, Richie, but I'm looking at this. City once again look comfortable knowing the Manchester United have to go for it.
Yeah, for me it has to be Fred that comes off. In terms of creativity, you're not going to get much. He's just been booked for fouling Jack Grealish, who was clever to run across him. I don't know, I just got the feeling all afternoon that, you know what, whenever Man City want to step up that gear, they've just got a couple of gears to go to.
Yeah, and they're in a good position here, wide with Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva and 2-goal Gündoğan. 2-goal Gündoğan. I tell you what, that sounds really nice, that. But yeah, comfortable.
There's a flow to it. There's a flow to Manchester City at the moment, who are leading 2-1. Here is Foden. They took the free kick short. Pacey ball that just has too much on it for the legs of Ilkay Gündoğan at this stage. Here comes the Manchester United substitution then. Erik Ten Hag will give Scott McTominay a big pat on the back. In fact, United wanted to get underway pretty quickly, so for now, Scott McTominay places his hands on his hips. He'll have to wait. Wout Weghorst, it's a heavy touch. He's offside. It's all gone wrong for the big Dutchman. And here is Scott McTominay. He is going to replace Victor Lindelof. They are going for it, Richie Wellens, a little bit.
I have seen Scott McTominay play centre-half before. Whether they change to a free at the back and just go run up against Haaland, I'm not sure, but it definitely doesn't look like Scott McTominay's won in the centre-half. Yeah, I think it looks like they've gone to a 3 at the back.
Richie, I was just going to say this. You're managing a game, you want to bring a substitution on to change the game to give yourself a chance of winning, and they take a quick goal kick.
Yeah, again, that would depend on the momentum of the game.
And then
you've not gathered any momentum.
Haaland has the space in on the D. Ooh, it was a clearance from United. Haaland showed them too much of the ball, but the clearance hit Haaland. Could have gone anywhere. Goes wide of the left-hand post. United goal kick. There are 7 minutes left at Wembley. Manchester City 2, United 1.
Very brave by Erik Ten Hag. Like I say, he's gone 3 at the back now. Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka man for man with Bernardo Silva and Jack Grealish, and he's just going to leave Varane to deal with Haaland, which is, listen, we've got 7 minutes to go, we need a goal, but it's very, very brave because at any moment City can take this game away from you.
Now to go long with the goal kick. Wout Weghorst missed his header, but the Reds have won a throw in 10 yards from the byline on the left-hand side. We'll be back to Gaz Drinkwater in a minute to see how United fans are perhaps feeling as the clock runs down, and they are perhaps thinking now to next Saturday and all turning into the blue and black of Inter Milan to stop Manchester City winning the treble, because right now their own side, Manchester United, can't do it. David De Gea, all in yellow, cleans the ball up towards the halfway line. Manuel Akanji wins the header. Here is Ilkay Gündoğan. 6 minutes to go in the FA Cup final. A goal for United could send us to extra time. We could go to penalties, and then it's a lottery. Here is Bernardo Silva. John Stones midway inside the Manchester United half. City in sky blue are left to right in the closing stages now. Walker 10 yards inside the Reds half. Has time to look up. Bernardo Silva tries to flick it round to Phil Foden. Gets involved on the follow-up. It is a Manchester United throw. Let's go to Gaz, drink water, and have a feeling and a flavour of the fans in these closing 6 minutes or so.
Yeah, you can really feel the roar of the Manchester United fans whenever they get a chance to go forward on the ball. It's not happened too many times in this second half, but listen to them now as they come forward.
With Rashford, McTominay keeps it alive here. Ball will go out to the left-hand side. Garnacho creeps into the penalty area. It's Rashford again, goes down fairly. City a little bit hurried in clearing the ball, and it can only go to Luke Shaw in the left back of Manchester United. Garnacho into the box on the byline. Who's that off last? Referee says goal kick. Double deflection, and it comes off United's Alejandro Garnacho last. It will be a Manchester City goal kick.
I'll tell you what, people talk about Rodri as possibly the best defensive midfielder in world football at the moment. He read the situation there. He knew that Bernardo Silva wasn't going to get to Garnacho. Comes across, puts a big foot out. Yeah, fortunate with the deflection perhaps, but I tell you what, that's why City are arguably the best team at the moment in Europe, simply because you've got players like that who read the game so well.
He's the glue. Any young kid watching, he wants to be a number 4, wants to be a holding midfield player. Look at Rodri, his decision making in terms of keeping the game ticking over, but also, especially when you've got John Stones stepping in, sometimes he needs to get in that little zone which his second centre back would take, and he does it magnificently.
Ten Hag hoping and praying with 4 minutes left. He won the Dutch equivalent of the FA Cup in 2019 and 2021. Manchester City here are going defensive. They are holding to a 2-1 lead. They're going to bring on Nathan Ake, one of those players nominated for Player of the Season. They won't have time to bring him on just yet. United have the ball on the left-hand side. The near the red shirts are right to left, and there are 4 minutes left. City 2, Manchester United 1. BBC Radio Manchester live from Wembley. You can have your say after the game on 0800 218 2255. Long ball forward. Weghorst on the chest control. It's a shot from McTominay that sprays up into the air off the deflection. Rashford involved too. Here is Fernandes on the right-hand side, right on the touchline, the far side of Wembley as we look at it. Fred, Rashford, back to goal though, inside the D. Luke Shaw, United are going to throw caution to the wind. They have to. By the corner on the far side, it's Fernandes. Can he get a cross in? Akanji is marshalling him. Left and right, the flicks are in. Fernandes gets the cross in, but it's over the head of Marcus Rashford. And by some distance too, the clock runs down to say 3 minutes left. And it's Manchester City 2, United 1.
I think United are doing okay in the game. They're pushing. The danger is obviously for the counter-attack, but at least they're going for it, which beggars belief, which David said before. Why are we not being aggressive, and why are you not putting the City team under pressure just to see what happens? Every week, teams go to the Etihad or play against Manchester City, and they sit off, and they allow them to just easy and to get into the rhythm. And now at least we're seeing a little bit of pressure that they're being put under.
Ortega with a long clearance. Luke Shaw is the first man to connect to the header. Ruben Diaz, despite Weghorst trying to close down Stefan Ortega, Diaz will head it back to the Manchester City German goalkeeper.
I also might add that David De Gea kicks it long. We've got a bit of physical presence. Weghorst leans in, sets it for Marcus Rashford, and we get into Man City's final third. I don't understand the tactic doing it when Jadon Sancho was up there.
2 minutes left. The Manchester City fans sing "We're Not Really Here." They are in dream territory. When that song was invented, they were strugglers in League One. They couldn't believe the fall of the club. They probably can't believe the rise of it now. Here is Gündoğan to turn midway inside the United half, out on the left, the far side. City 2, United 1 into the final 2 minutes. Gündoğan might get the ball, which will slow up inside the box here. He pulls it back. Foden was lurking. It's out of play for a Manchester City throw on the far side.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a tough call on who's going to be player of the match, given what's happened so far. Gündoğan with 2 goals, Rodri, as you said, and John Stones in particular. But Gündoğan again, just finding that position inside the box, unfortunately not being able to get the connected pass. But this is what's going to happen for the next, 4 or 5 minutes, whatever's left, as Aki comes on, and Kyle Walker is bending and stretching.
Grealish is off.
Yeah, Grealish.
I'm looking at Kyle Walker in the middle of the field there. He looks like he wouldn't like extra time.
Jack Grealish, who 8 years ago was a loser here at Wembley in the FA Cup final. His Aston Villa side beaten 4-0 by Arsenal. Much happier memories as it stands. We're into the final minute of the 90. City lead 2-1. Leighton, great territory for Manchester United as Varane clips it up to the right-hand side. Wan-Bissaka wins the ball. Handball against Rodri, was it? The ball will run on through. The referee will call that back. Here's a free kick to the Reds. They're going to have to go long, Richie Wellens.
City need to be careful here. If they give the ball away, United are leaving 5 players up. They leave McTominay, Marcus Rashford, Weghorst and Garnacho. They're leaving them all up. So if they lose the ball high up the pitch, there is an opportunity for United to counter. So we just go long game, obviously put them under pressure and hope something happens to us.
Bruno Fernandes is the man who will take the free kick just short of the halfway line. 4 minutes for United to rescue the tie. It drops down on the edge of the penalty area for McTominay, but he can't guide a header where he wants it. The ball runs to Garnacho on the left. He gets it, he puts it right across goal. It's a sliding challenge from Manuel Akanji. The ball flies in the air. Garnacho will try and bring it down. Fred swings it in. Header from Haaland away. Their attacker turning defender at a crucial moment. And it's up and away into the blue skies of Wembley. And Foden will try and bring it down. It would have been some control. It just runs away from him. Shaw caught. Free kick to United on the halfway line.
Yeah, I think that was a decent challenge. I'm not condoning giving fouls away, but if Phil Foden doesn't go in for that challenge, it gives Man United an opportunity to make a good build-up. And as Richard said before, this is a free kick near the halfway line, just inside the United half, which is going to allow a long ball into Weghorst. So far, City have been comfortable with the long balls in, so... Oh, they've gone short.
They go short, but they go quick down the left-hand side. Fernandes to Garnacho. Garnacho to Shaw. Clips it in. Headers again at the back of the 6-yard box. Ball flies in the air. It's off the bar. It's a scramble. McTominay. And it's going to be given as a corner to Manchester United. It could have been anywhere. It went anywhere and everywhere. And Ortega jumps onto the bar, and it's his fist that sends it behind for a Manchester United corner. 90 seconds into the 4 minutes of added time. United chasing an equaliser. They're at the end with all the United fans. They will suck that ball in if they have to. I think there's a little injury as they're in the penalty area. The referee sorting some pushing and shoving from Rashford in the box and Ake to hold on to your hats, because this is going to be a hell of a finish in the FA Cup final. 2 minutes of the 4 have gone. Fernandes with the corner on the far side, the right. It's a packed penalty area. Everybody back for City. Everyone but De Gea forward for United. Outswinging delivery. Goes in. And it's a City clearance from Kyle Walker away. Luke Shaw will bring it down. The two England internationals battle for the ball. Shaw to Garnacho. It's a 1-2. Back to the left back. Now he releases Garnacho, who's got round the back. Sends the cross in over everybody. And United are going to have to sprint to keep it in. They can't. And you just wonder now if Manchester City are edging closer and closer to the double.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they get the double, then I think every Man City player needs to go to Stefan Ortega there, because when that ball came down to Scott McTominay, he's come out, he's spread himself, he's got smashed. Fantastic save. The ball comes off the crossbar, and I think it must have been a Man City player that's headed it over the bar in the end, but Stefan Ortega, that's the first save he's made.
I think it's Rodri's header there is absolutely unbelievable.
The block by Ortega, and he's still bending over. He's limping a little bit as well. But that is, I think, the archetypal match-winning save. If Manchester City go on with less than a minute to go to win the FA Cup.
Short in stature, big in heart. Stefan Ortega. City preparing to bring on Aymeric Laporte. They're shoring up that back line. There's a little bit of treatment going on here to Kyle Walker. A little bit of cramp, I suspect, Richie Wellens.
Yeah, maybe David mentioned he was stretching on the halfway line before. Maybe just trying to take the sting out of the game. We're not sure, but it looks like Man City have done enough. They've been fantastic in patches. Not a fantastic City performance, but they've shown in moments that they are the best team in Europe.
Well, this is what I was saying. Kyle Walker was doing some mad stretching there when Jack Grealish came off. It looks like he's walking and he's okay, but is he going to be the substitution's the question, because I'm saying he's okay. He's got a bit of a limp going on here.
Here's the substitution. Aymeric Laporte is coming on for Kyle Walker. Is that going to see John Stones go right back? We have had the 4 minutes of added time. We're going to go the distance. We're going to go beyond the distance.
That's not good, Mike.
Kyle Walker is hobbling. Big game next week as Manchester City go to Istanbul for a Champions League final. We don't know if it's for the treble. It is looking increasingly likely. There is a throw-in on the far side of the field, which Manchester City have in their left-back position. It is thrown up towards the halfway line. We're at the referee's discretion now. We've passed the 4 minutes, which are a minimum that he's added on. Still, Haaland wants to sprint down the left-hand side. Released by Foden, held up by Rafa Varane. By the corner, and he wins the corner, and Haaland screams towards the City fans. They are close now. It will be a corner to City, and they will hold this up for as long as they possibly can. They will use the tactics and every trick in the book here to keep United away from the ball.
Yeah, this isn't one that you're likely to see on a training field. Man City have no players in the box for an attacking corner.
They roll it short. Foden to Haaland. Fred battles for it. Haaland's trying to send it in. It rolls right along the byline. Rafa Varane will clear it away, but he'll only send it out for a throw-in. And it edges further away from Manchester United. The whistles come from the Manchester City fans. We're closer to 6 minutes of added time. Here is Ake with the throw-in. He'll launch it back down the far side, the left. United get it away. Casemiro with the header. Stones on the halfway line. Fernandes will volley it forward. Now it's for Akanji to chase, to get it right, and he gets it right. Heads it back to Stefan Ortega, and the full-time whistle goes. Double up for Manchester City. The voices of the treble will only get louder now. They've won the FA Cup. They add to their Premier League title, and they'll go to Istanbul next week with a chance to make history. They are now 90 minutes from immortality. They are FA Cup winners in 2023. It is the blue half of Manchester that celebrates tonight in London and in the Northwest. Manchester United tried. They pushed City to the very end, but ultimately they couldn't find the equaliser they craved. And it's Manchester City that win the FA Cup for the second time under Pep Guardiola. The 7th time in their history, and they've done it against their bitterest and biggest rivals on the biggest stage in English football. It is finished here at Wembley. Manchester City 2, Manchester United 1.
David James, 2 down, 1 to go.
Well, first of all, can I just say the scenes here for you listening at home. On the right hand side, there's blue and white striped flags with a punctuation of yellow bananas. All the Man City fans are buzzing. The left hand side of Wembley is still red, but that is the colour of the seats. The one thing I love here is the Man City players run towards the City fans. You would think they've just won the FA Cup. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I'll tell you what, for anyone who thought this might not have meant anything, this is wonderful, wonderful scenes. Well deserved.
This is step 2 of the treble, of course, but the Manchester City players racing towards their jubilant supporters, who all rise and wave their flags, their blue and white banners, their inflatable bananas bouncing around behind the goal to our right hand side. Those players have given absolutely everything to get over the line. They have clinched the double, and now they have a shot at a historic treble next weekend in Istanbul. And over the course of the game, David, they deserved it.
They did. I mean, the early goal obviously changed the way that the game, from a Man United perspective, possibly more than Man City's, the way the game was going to go. But they just had the better quality. They had the better idea. They knew what the game plan was. Manchester United arguably take away the penalty because it was from nothing. Were better in that last 5, 10, 15 minutes maybe when Weghorst came on. I've just got to say once again, Stefan Ortega's save, that was the match-winning save. He put himself in a position where he's got smashed by Scott McTominay. Without that save, we'd be sat here waiting for extra time. But again, I've just got to go back to the point here. those guys celebrating there, this means everything to them. And now the talk of the treble is quite simple. One game, one chance, immortality.
Pep Guardiola has tried to avoid talking ahead of the next game all season long. He has got a week of answering questions about the treble. He cannot ignore it anymore. His team are one step away from winning the big three competitions, a feat only ever previously done by Manchester United, who couldn't be the treble busters today, Richie Wellens. They gave it a bit more of a fist in the second half, but once Manchester City got 2-1 up, it was always going to be difficult for United to respond again. They went long, late on. Garnacho added a little, but it just wasn't quite enough. The ball didn't fall for them when they needed it to, but they probably didn't have enough over the course of the 90.
No, listen, the levels between the two teams is huge, and the fact that you just said, no, under our great spell under Sir Alex Ferguson, we scored so many late goals because we keep doing the same things, we keep doing the right things, we keep asking questions of them, and the fact that we just resort to going long and hope, like you said, hoping the ball bounces for us. A severe lack of quality, and his players in that squad that have been there now 4, 5, 6 years, and we're probably as far away from this Man City team as we've ever been. You know, I like Erik ten Hag. I think he's done a decent job, and he comes out in the week and says we need better players. You look at Man City and Bruno Fernandes before the game said they're the benchmark for us. Well, they're not just a benchmark on the pitch, they're the benchmark for recruitment, they're the benchmark for style of football, a certain, you know, the way that they play. They sign a player that goes into that team and just fits in as if he's been there for a whole career. We sign players like Jadon Sancho, and we just don't see the same players what we've seen at Borussia Dortmund. We haven't really got an identity yet, but we need to give Erik ten Hag time. Recruitment's been a big one because ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left, it's not been great, considering we spent more than anybody in the last 10-12 years, and like I said, we're still nowhere near it.
Disappointment for the Reds as the east end of Wembley rapidly empties. The west end is still packed to the rafters. Let's hear from City's Jack Grealish.
Unbelievable. There's just stuff in it that you dream of, you know, when you're a little kid. I don't think the foreign guys know as much, but us English guys, you know, we know what it means to play in this and to play in a final. I lost one, you know, when I was at Aston Villa, and I was desperate to win one, and I obviously give away the penalty. I know you're probably going to get onto it, but I generally don't know how it's a penalty. I'm not even looking at the ball. Like, I've missed the ball with my head, and then it's headed it, but I'm not even looking at the ball. I can understand if I'm trying to block across and I'm like this looking at it, but anyway, Gundo saved me.
I was going to say, forget that. You're about to lift the FA Cup for the very first time. Everyone's talking about the Champions League. Does this just show this is a group of winners? You don't care what final it is, you want to win. No,
exactly. I think the best thing about this team is we have a mix of everything, you know. We have like, obviously everyone's confident, but we have like the older lads more experience, we have younger lads, and we have so much belief in ourselves and so much confidence, and I think it shows out there today. But I'm sure, you know, we'll have a good night tonight, and then straight back on it tomorrow and Monday for a massive game next week.
I was going to say, I know you like to enjoy the celebrations usually. How much do you think you're going to be allowed to tonight?
Yeah, of course I am. I don't win a FA Cup, do I, every week? So, no, I'm going to enjoy it, of course. I want to enjoy myself, and then obviously tomorrow, you know, straight back into training, you know, recovery and stuff, and I just can't wait for next week now. I love this team so much. I love the players, the staff, and I just hopefully, you know, we can have a good week now and go into next week with confidence.
I get the feeling there's someone in our studio, Micah Richards, who might want to join you for those celebrations.
He's more than welcome. Mix, get yourself down there, son.
Well done, Jack.
That's Jack Grealish talking to BBC Radio Manchester on the pitch at Wembley after Manchester City have beaten Manchester United by 2-1. Ultimately, that handball by Grealish didn't cost him and City, as a double from Gündoğan secured the FA Cup and the double. And David James, everyone's talking about the treble, that's understandable, but these scenes with the City players celebrating with the supporters tell you that this competition, one that I know you won as a player, still matters to the players.
Yeah, there's bits that you can't control in a celebration as a player, and yes, I think everyone knows that Manchester City need to win that Champions League. It's the ultimate club competition, we all know that. But when you saw that final whistle go and you saw the celebrations of the players, Kevin De Bruyne from off the bench walking with his hands up in the air, that was the only thing that mattered to these players with the 90 minutes that have just been played. Like Jack says, they can celebrate tonight. I'm not sure exactly what he meant by that, but then tomorrow it is head down and focused against Inter Milan for the final. And I tell you, they're still stood there. I reckon these players will be out here for the next half an hour just enjoying this moment because, like Jack said, you don't win the FA Cup every week.
They'll be glad that they didn't have extra time today. They've still got to walk up those 200 odd steps and pick up the trophy yet before Istanbul next week.
When you win, it's an enjoyable walk. It's when you lose you don't like it.
Yeah, and the United players will have to make that walk for their runners-up medals shortly, and that won't be one that they are looking to either. The City players jubilant down there on the pitch. Big thanks to David James for joining us on BBC Radio Manchester today. Excellent stuff with Mike Maine on commentary, Richie Wellens as well, and the former City midfielder Nigel Glegor. Nigel, you were kicking every ball throughout the match this afternoon. I know you were frustrated with the lack of VAR, or the times VAR was used and not used during the first half, but we got the right result in the end. City deserved winners. Hold that thought. Let's hear from İlkay Gündoğan.
Another trophy as City captain. Just how special is this?
To win a final is always special. And obviously every single trophy is special. So this group deserves it. I think we played really well, especially second half was amazing, and deservedly we're going to lift another trophy.
For you personally, man of the match, you can't stop scoring, and I'm not sure if you're aware that was the fastest ever goal in an FA Cup final. Did it even take you by surprise?
Well, obviously we know how we play, how we want to play the kickoff, and we aimed for that, to go long for Erling, and then to get the second ball and try to attack quick. And I guess for the first time this season we've scored. The ball just was placed amazingly for me, and I just had to hit it. Obviously, it was a quite good strike and it went in, and it was amazing.
For you as well, there's so much speculation about your future, but when you're part of moments like this, does it make you love being at City even more and want to stay?
To be honest, I don't need these kind of days to feel appreciated and to feel special in this club. I know that. That's why I am here already 7 years, with all the up and downs that I had so far, and nothing is decided yet. So we're going to see what's going to happen.
Best of luck next week as well. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's İlkay Gündoğan. He'll be off to Istanbul for the Champions League final and an opportunity to lift the treble with Manchester City. Before that, he's going to get his hands on the FA Cup this afternoon on BBC Radio Manchester. The Manchester United players are currently picking up their runners-up medals, as is the way now. Not even put around their neck, just straight in the hand or straight off the head and into the pocket. Nothing, no pride, no glory for them as they shake hands with David Gill, Alex Ferguson and Joel Glazer as well as they make their way along the line. They will want to get out of this stadium as quickly as possible. For the Blues though, Nigel Glegor, step 2 complete. They are 1 game away from the greatest achievement in football.
Yeah, that's right. And having watched the game there, and as you mentioned earlier, Bill kicked every ball, jumped on every cross and all of that type of thing, and had to go at VAR. The right results come out of it because City have more quality on the pitch. That's what it comes down to.
They weren't their best today, were they?
No, I thought they were far away from the best I've seen them play this season. When the today it was a bit clunky. We mentioned about cogs and wheels, and I think 1 or 2 of the cogs were just a little bit lacked a little bit of oil, and some of the passing wasn't as good and as crisp as normal, but the class still comes through. And I think at the end Manchester United obviously had a go by going long and asking a few questions, and there was a good save at the end by Ortega. However, Manchester City were the better footballing team on the day and deserved to win it.
And we mentioned Ortega in the build-up. We questioned Pep Guardiola. Should he have picked Ederson as his number 1? Was he right to play his second goalkeeper for the final, having played him all through the rounds? He actually came up with a really big save when it mattered with 2 minutes left.
He did, and they're not easy saves when they're so close. He had to step in and just put his body there. And as David James mentioned, it's about getting smashed and being brave enough. And he got right in front of the ball, and he got himself a clout along the way. But Yeah, Pep was right. City won 2-1, so how can you argue with him playing Ortega?
He gets more right than he gets wrong. You're listening to BBC Radio Manchester, live from Manchester South. I think they used to call it Wembley, but Manchester City are taking up residence in the capital at the moment because they here have clinched the FA Cup final with a 2-1 win over their rivals Manchester United. It will be a double for Pep Guardiola's side. They won the domestic treble, of course, a few seasons ago, and now they are going for the treble of Premier League, FA Cup, and next week the Champions League, the one they desire the most. But for today, they get to enjoy this, the opportunity to walk the famous route up the steps at Wembley to the Royal Box, where they will be presented with the oldest cup competition in professional football. They are making the long, slow walk now. Pep Guardiola high-fiving every supporter as he makes his way up the steps towards the Royal Box, followed by his players. So I think it's only appropriate that we hand over to our City reporter Mike Minay. Before we do, Richie Wellens, a quick word on United, because Jamie has tweeted, City bring on Foden, United bring on Weghorst. Nothing could show the gap between these two teams more than those substitutions. This will be a hard one to take for United, and they've got Erik ten Hag's got a big job ahead, hasn't he, to get United where they need to be.
Yeah, we have got injuries such as Anthony and Martial, so there's a little bit of an excuse there, but it's just the way that Man City play. Man City will sign a player in the summer, he'll come in, he'll fit in, it just looks perfect. Whereas Man United, it's like, I just don't know how we play. And I feel sorry for someone like Marcus Rashford, who has an unbelievable season, but there's just, something needs to change in terms of, like, you look at Arsenal, for example. Arsenal
City players making their way up now to lift the trophy, so we'll be back with Richie in a moment. Mike Minay, take it away.
Well, 107 steps from pitch level to the Royal Box. City will have floated up those, no doubt, as they emerge, ready to shake hands with the dignitaries. Pep Guardiola, it's hot down there, yet he still managed to place his green hoodie on. He'll shake hands with Sir Alex Ferguson, who earlier this week handed Pep Guardiola the LMA Manager of the Year awards. He said it hurts to present the award, Sir Alex Ferguson, but cannot deny what Pep Guardiola has brought to English football and the success he's had. It's a royal handshake from His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, Prince William, for Pep Guardiola next. Players emerge from the top of those steps, get their winners' medals. And it's a rivalry that started with the FA Cup between City and United. Then it was United's day. Fast forward to 2023, and it is most definitely Manchester City's day. It is Manchester City's season, their biggest season. Julian Alvarez, plenty of goals for him in the FA Cup this season. He was watching Coldplay on Thursday night, the Argentine. Forget a sky full of stars, it's more a team full of stars where he's concerned. John Stones, who has risen further in the hearts of Manchester City fans this season. He gets a winner's medal draped over his neck. Haaland next. What a season he's had, and it doesn't stop here, does it? Rico Lewis is the breakthrough talent of the year. One of their own, Phil Foden of Stockport, now 23 years old, turned 23 last weekend, and is about to win his second FA Cup. At the back of this queue is Ilkay Gündoğan, the German, 7 seasons a City player. Who knows if he'll be here next season to defend the FA Cup. He'll certainly have a shot at being the captain of Manchester City that leads them to a treble next weekend. As we get ready for Manchester City to lift English football biggest prize, Ilkay Gündoğan is handed the trophy by Prince William. Not after he's had a little hug from Khaldoon Amrabat, the chairman. Ilkay Gündoğan launches the trophy into the air, and Manchester City win the FA Cup for a 7th time in their history. Ticker tape off, blue ribbons draped on the trophy. In their biggest season, it's a double that could well turn into a treble. 90 minutes from immortality. But step 2 was a big step against their biggest rivals in an all-Manchester FA Cup final. And City came through it. What's next? We'll have to wait, but they'll enjoy the party tonight because Manchester City are FA Cup winners for 2023.
Hey Jude ringing out around Wembley. The blue half still completely packed to the rafters. The supporters have all stayed around to see the trophy lifted by Pep Guardiola and his players. And phase 2 of City's quest to win the treble is complete. Nigel Gleghorn.
Yes, it is, and it's a beautiful scene to our right there with the Blues singing out "Hey Jude." They've just picked the trophy up. They pass it along the line there so that everyone gets a little touch of it. Everyone's earned it. You know, it's been a long season for Manchester City and many of the teams, but Manchester City have been at it for a long period, played lots of games, and it's culminated this week for this series in a win with the FA Cup. But there's another week of this series to go, and that will be next week when they go off to Istanbul to play Inter Milan in the Champions League, and that they just get bigger and bigger each time the games come up, and City have the answers so far.
Every City player being greeted with an individual roar as they lift the trophy, whether it's Erling Haaland with his 52 goals, whether it's Calvin Phillips who's not played anywhere near as much as he hopes, and then finally the boss himself, Pep Guardiola, just respectfully gives it a little peck on the side of the silverware and then gently lofts it above his head before handing it back to his players. He will allow them to enjoy this tonight. They will have a celebration. I don't think it'll be going on too late, although who knows, but they will be back to work with one last game to secure their place in football history. This is already the most successful era of Manchester City's time, Nigel Gleghorn, but this could be the season that supporters remember for the rest of their lives.
Well, I think I remember, and I tell this story quite often, Bill. I remember at the Etihad when Trevor Francis came up and City had just moved there, and he said it's not like the football stadium, it's soulless, but memories give you that soul, and Manchester City fans over the past 10-12 years have been treated to some real memories, and it could be the biggest memory of their lives next Saturday on the 10th of June when City have the chance of reaching immortality and matching the neighbours over there in Manchester. So it doesn't come along like this. They need to enjoy it because we've seen real dynasties fall. If you look at Liverpool, if you look at Manchester United, they've been at the top and then they've fallen, so it takes a while to get back to where you are, and Manchester City have been a fantastic model of how to run a club for the last 10 years or so. Planning has been excellent.
City players have made their way back down the steps to pitch level at Wembley, where they will go and celebrate with the coaching staff and the supporters away to our right hand side, who are all waiting to see exactly what Manchester City have achieved today. Looks like Jack Grealish has already got the champagne fizzing, getting the cork out of the bottle before the players line up behind the sponsor boards for the photographers who have all got their long lenses poised and placed in position. The FA Cup perched delicately on the turf of Wembley, and the players taking a seat beside it. After such a long season, you wouldn't blame them for wanting a little rest, but they'll have enough in the tank to go again, Nigel Gleghorn, I'm certain of that. One more game to go.
Yes, one more. They will have that chance because they will be well looked after in this next week. They'll train. The recovery session tomorrow, etc., will be exceptional, and Manchester City will just go from strength to strength. They've been fantastic, Bill. You can't argue with that.
And the difference this year compared to previous seasons when they came up short in the Champions League, is that just experience this time round from previous years, or have they paced themselves better? Have they timed their run to the title better? What do you put it down to?
I think Richie mentioned it earlier that Manchester City's planning this season to make sure that at the end of the season their main players are really there, and that's what's happened. He hasn't beasted them by leaving them on too long all the time. They've had periods where they've had long games to play, like 5 or 6 games. Then they'll give them a rest when they can, and their squad's very deep. And what I have noticed is there's not been a lot of, touch wood, injuries to the players, especially the main players. So City squad, when you look at the backroom staff, they've been kept fit, they've been kept right for games. So that's why it's culminating at the end of the season, where the players still look pretty fresh, considering they must have played round about 50 to 60 games. I think that's a testament to the backroom staff and how they've been managed throughout the season.
You're listening to BBC Radio Manchester, live from Wembley. Manchester City 2, Manchester United 1. The Blues lift the FA Cup for a 7th time, and it is a double. Richie Wellens, the former United midfielder, alongside us at Wembley. Richie, before you go, I know it's been a difficult afternoon for you as a Red to watch City lifting the trophy here, but we talked about it in the build-up, about how big the gap is between the two teams, how United closed that gap. Just on the evidence of what you've seen today, what does Eric Ten Hag have to do? What do United have to do if they want to be where City are right now?
Well, football team's all about players. The better players you've got, obviously it makes it a lot easier, but then they've got a genius as a manager, probably the best manager this country has ever seen in terms of tactically. For me, Sir Alex Ferguson's the greatest in terms of trophies, but coaching and football, the evolution of that has changed now in terms of different tactics, and there's a lot better coaches now. So one thing I will say is Manchester City as a football club have been run right for a long time. I go and watch Manchester City's youth teams now and 21s teams, and they do it properly. They're so far coached ahead of every other academy. At Brighton as well, I will put up there, but from the 18s to the 21s, I think they won the league at 18s and they won the league at 21s for another season. They're producing players for the first team. They've got young lads out on loan at Sheffield United winning promotion, and other top players out on loan. So from the very, very top, which is Pep, all the way down, he's just really well-oiled machine. I mentioned you before, fantastic football club, brilliant players, and to be honest, it hurts me, but it's a privilege to watch this team play. If they win next week, I think they are anyway. But I think if they win the Champions League next year, they're probably the greatest club team that we've ever seen.
And we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, Nigel, but once City complete the treble, which we hope they will complete next week, what's the next step after that? What's the next ambition for Pep Guardiola and these players? Are we seeing the high point of this Manchester City era, or are there still worlds for them to conquer?
Well, I'm not even mentioning winning I'm not like that. I'm too superstitious for that. But
game of football's never won until it's won.
Exactly right.
We saw that today, didn't we?
Yes, we did, and it was a tough ask in the end, and City come up trumps. But next week is the next step to where City want to be and where Pep wants to be. Should City win that, I don't think that will be the end of Guardiola here at Manchester City. I think we want to do it again, because if you do it again, that means he's better than Manchester United, and then he'll be the best club manager there's ever been. Arguably he is already, with the stuff that he's done across all the big leagues. I think he's been excellent. The stuff that he's changed with Manchester City, the tactics that Richie was alluding to, was the things like playing a 4-4-2, then switching to a 3-5-2 when they're in possession. Most teams do that the other way around if they're going to do it, but he does it to play out. John Stones has been somebody who has allowed all of that to happen, because the way he steps into midfield like a midfield player, then plays a centre half, you don't get a lot of players who are quite as adaptable as that. But I just think he'll want to go on and on and on. He wins trophies, he likes trophies. He'll want to be known as the manager that has won the most trophies ever. It's as simple as that.
So that'll be the Alex Ferguson target then, won't it? Was it 49 in all his years with Aberdeen and with Manchester United? That's the target for Pep Guardiola to chase.
Well, it's not a bad total, by the way. That didn't quite get his half century, didn't quite get his bat held high. Guardiola might just get there and get that bat held high.
Richie Wellens, in terms of Manchester United, they will go away, they will lick their wounds this summer. They've won a trophy, they've got back in the Champions League. It has been a good first season under Erik ten Hag. Today has maybe showcased that they still have a way to go, but I'm sure he knew that already, and it will be another big summer ahead. The crucial one is not actually which players they sign or which players are under contract. It's the ownership, isn't it? That's the real issue that needs sorting first at Manchester United. Are the Glazers going to stay in charge, or are they going to sell the club?
Well, I think the ownership impacts how much money he's got to spend. But I wouldn't imagine a Glazer, if they're going to sell the club, will want to invest too heavily. But the biggest thing this year was to get into the Champions League, to show progression. I think he's had a good first season. The fact that we won the Carabao Cup was a bonus. Today, to stop Man City winning the treble would have made it a brilliant season. But I just want to see a clear identity of the two teams today. Every time it goes back to Manchester City's goalkeeper, I knew exactly what I was going to see. A lot of Man United struggles today was a problem when it went back to David De Gea, and he just floats up to centre halves and we're wide open, and we can't win a second ball and City pick it up and go and attack. So the big thing for me is get an identity, and then once you've got an identity and a culture at your club, it's then easy to recruit players that fit into that. It's no good going to recruit great players or have been brilliant somewhere else. It's like Jadon Sancho, for example. I mentioned it before. We signed him as a right winger from Dortmund. We play him left wing. And it's like, what do we want from Jadon? He's been moved all over the place. We see Marcus Rashford on the left, then we see him centre forward. We still haven't got, for me, an out-and-out centre forward. You look at how he's changed the dynamics of the way that Man City play. And all our great teams in the past, so Van Persie, Van Nistelrooy, Rooney, Ronaldo, we've always had a great centre forward. You look at our last 5 centre forwards, Ibrahimovic, 36 when we had him, Falcao, injury prone and ageing. Cavani, 36 when we had him. I mean, so Alex Ferguson bought Wayne Rooney, bought Cristiano Ronaldo I know we signed Van Persie, but he was at 31, 32. Where's the long-term thinking? Where's the recruitment job? This is going to be our centre forward for the next 10 years, and we've not had that. There's obviously talk of Harry Kane, whether that's true or not, I don't know. With the Osimhen, who's at Napoli, would be a longer-term thinking one, but I think something needs to happen on the recruitment side, because for too long it's been so far off. And we've spent the money. We've definitely spent the money, but from the wrong players.
Let's hear from the Manchester United captain, Bruno Fernandes.
These questions, but what is the atmosphere like in that dressing room, having just lost the FA Cup to the biggest rivals?
Obviously, everyone is down. It's really difficult. We wanted to end the season in a different way. It wasn't possible, but we are aware that we had to make the right steps for the future in this season. So obviously it's not a successful season overall, but it's a good season. We have to now look forward to get batteries back come next season, and understand that it's still a long way to get in a position to win bigger trophies and bigger achievements.
Absolutely. Bruno, we talked before the start of the game about what you had to do, and you had to be at your very best. You gave yourself such a mountain to climb, especially conceding so early on.
Yeah, but we came back to the game. So obviously we started the game in a really bad way, but we came back to the game. I think in the first half we had really good spells on the ball. After we had our goal, we had some more counters and chances where we could have scored. In the second half, again, we conceded an early goal, another amazing goal by Gündoğan. And after we had still some chances where we could have scored, we didn't, and City deserved the winner.
If we are being critical, Bruno, did you afford Ilkay Gündoğan far too much space for both goals?
No, in the first goal, as you said, probably too soft, too much space in the middle. Yes, but it is an amazing goal. It's not something that, obviously, if you have some player more tight on him, it probably, when the ball bounces, it can be there for the ball with him. But you have to give credit for him. It's 2 amazing goals with his left foot by an amazing player. I've said this in the past. For me, he's one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, and he has won the game for City today.
How lovely, how very sporting of you. And if I can just ask you about your fans today, they were absolutely magnificent, weren't they?
They have been all season. They have been all season. They truly deserve a different result today. The disappointment by the dressing room is also because we couldn't give the joy to the fans that they really deserve by what they have done the entire season for us, all the support they've given to us. We are really, really grateful for everything that they've been doing for us through this season. And the only promise that I can say is that next season we will come again and try again.
Thank you, Bruno. As I say, these interviews are never easy. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes taking the time to say they will come again next season. The celebrations inside Wembley continue for the FA Cup winners, the double winners, Manchester City. Erling Haaland has taken the trophy right over to the supporters behind the West End goal of the stadium where the City supporters are housed. He held up the trophy aloft for them. Calvin Phillips got his hands on it. John Stones as well. It's probably worth reminding people on BBC Radio Manchester, seems like an absolute age ago now, Nigel Gleghorn, but we actually earlier saw the fastest goal ever in an FA Cup final. City went in front after just 13 seconds.
Strangely enough, Bill, I was just thinking, I never thought I'd use this phrase with Manchester City, but it was actually Route 1 football. It went back and it stuck on his foot, and the goalkeeper's played it long. It's headed up by Haaland, misheaded by one of the Manchester United players, and then Gündoğan, just following up, unleashed a right foot volley into the top corner, unstoppable from De Gea. But yeah, that was the quickest goal, but it does seem a long time since it happened. It was Route 1 football with Manchester City.
Might be even longer ago than I thought. I think they've shaved it down to 12 seconds now, so that will take some beating. Manchester United got themselves level through a penalty, a controversial penalty, when Jack Grealish was adjudged to have handled the ball after a VAR review. Aaron Wan-Bissaka heading it back across goal and Grealish jumping in front of him with his arm raised. It hit him on the arm, it came at him quickly from a very short distance, and yet having looked at the video screen on the far side, the referee decided it was a penalty. Bruno Fernandes rolled it in and levelled things for United, but then Gündoğan scored a second after the break to give City the FA Cup final victory, and they're still out there, the coaching staff and the players, Nigel Gleghorn, still waving, doing pictures in front of all the supporters. Everyone is getting in on the act, and I know that every team tries to build this kind of spirit, but if you're going to go the distance, you're going to win trophies, going to win multiple trophies, it's not just about 11 or 18, it's about 40, 50 people down there, including the media team, including the coaching staff, the backroom team. The whole club have to be working together. Yeah,
there's a huge staff now at Manchester City. It was starting to build when I was there as a coach. So they just grow and grow and grow, and the more success brings, the more expectations are that the players are really looked after. And I know they get a lot of pampering. However, some of these players down there are worth a fantastic amount of money and bring in a fantastic amount of money for the club. So they should be treated like thoroughbreds. But you know, you've also got to think it's not just about those down there. If you look around with Manchester City fans, they've travelled down here like the Manchester United fans in probably quite difficult circumstances to get here to fill Wembley and watch what wasn't the best cup final you probably ever see, but it had its moments where it had us on the edge of our seats. It had moments. Cup finals always do. Deserved it. Celebrate with the fans and get ready for next week.
Yeah, there is one more big game to come for Manchester City. Rodri is still parading round with the FA Cup in his hands. Plenty of the City supporters in blue shirts away to our right-hand side had started to head for the exits. Let's hear from Pep Guardiola talking to Gary Lineker.
To talk about the travel, but it's about winning the Champions League. But against United, it was special for our city, for our fans, and we performed really well. Really well, and very pleased.
The perfect start.
Sorry?
The perfect start.
It was a genius manager.
That long ball.
I said, Erling, set the ball and put it.
That's the trouble with you. You're all about a long ball game.
Yeah. Adapting English football.
It had to happen one day.
No.
But English football is adapted to you. Tell us about Gündoğan, a player that he's been for you. 2 goals today. Fabulous football.
What a season. Chigi was together the first time when we arrived here in Manchester. the skills is there, but the special mentality. When you have a lot of players like they play these type of games, like a friendly game, and they handle the pressure like, okay, let's have fun. You are becoming a good team. Otherwise, you cannot do it. So,
and he will take all the headlines, and rightly so, for the spectacular goal and maybe not so spectacular second one. But what about John Stones as well in the role that you've asked him to do? How easy has he found that?
Oh, incredible! How is he playing lately? And he gave us opportunity to play in this certain way. Without him, it will be more difficult. And again, you know, all of us, all the guys, they were amazing.
What did you have to come with Manchester United today? What was the key for you to winning this game?
Well, they follow man to man, so tight, and we didn't expect the defense to narrow the wingers. And the first half, just 1 or 2 or 3 times, like Akanji could attack. In the half time, we said we have to make the build up from outside and instead inside. And of course, after the second goal, they were jump more, they were more opening, and we could find more spaces. But in general, 90 minutes was good.
I really want to ask you about John Stones, because the transformation, the way you've put him into this system, how do you go about changing a player into a different kind of footballer?
No, it's just to be in the position to pass the ball, no more than that. And John has the quality to do it, but sometimes the central defender arrive in the final third, you know, to make a crosses. Sometimes it's difficult to do it. Before we did it with the fullbacks, and now sometimes with John. It has to be more passes, more control. There's a reason why, no more than that.
I love how you keep it reinventing the game of football in many ways. Pep, you were very
happy.
Sorry,
are you happy?
He's very happy. Mike he's been singing with the crowd.
He's annoyingly happy. Can you take him away from us? Take him in the dressing room away from us.
Pep, so you got 2 down now, right? And you got the 3rd one next Saturday. What's the next week going to look for you? What are you going to go through? What are the players going to go through?
Now, tomorrow, after tomorrow, day off. 2 days off. The players have recovery for themselves. They go, and you have 3-4 training sessions to prepare Inter Milan. And
when are you going? When are you leaving for Istanbul?
Thursday after training in the morning.
Pep, at the end of the game, at the end of the match here today, when you win, we've got some pictures of you. Are quite emotional. A few tears. It means a lot. Clearly, so much.
It was so important for us today. For the final and everything. FA Cup is so nice. And,
is it also, I mean you sort of suggested it anyway, but the fact it is the local rival,
a little bit,
it means so much to the fans, doesn't it?
A little bit. For our fans, of course. I'm a Barcelona fan, so now I will love this club for the rest of my life, but I was not born as a City fan. And I can understand. It's like a play FA Cup against Real Madrid, so will be special. And I know for them today we give them I think a good gift to enjoy. With our neighbours.
Well, thank you for enjoying the victory with us. We really do appreciate it, Pep. As always, much as gracias.
Awesome. Congratulations. Have a good night.
That's the Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola pitch side here at Wembley, talking to Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and Peter Schmeichel. And you heard him there talking about the treble. Nigel Gleghorn. Now all roads lead to Istanbul for Manchester City and for all those Manchester City supporters, many of whom are now making their way towards the exit. Some have stayed right to the end to celebrate with every single player as they lofted the trophy down in front of us. But the job Pep Guardiola has done, let's give the man some credit, because we talk about the way he's evolved football, the style of play. You know, he was joking there about the long ball football for the early goal today. But we talk about the way his teams play. And we inevitably talk about, well, he's had money to spend and he had Messi at Barcelona and this, that and the other. Regardless of that, lots of teams spend lots of money. Manchester City spend their money incredibly well, but they've also got a coach who not only coaches his teams, but he's improved these players, and he is on the verge of something incredible. He's on the verge of true greatness now.
I think when you look at it, Bill, you've got some really big stars out there who didn't cost a lot of money.
I'll pick you up on that again, because I think Kyle Walker and John Stones are now speaking to Gary Lineker.
Responsibility. Have you found it as easy as you've made it look?
No.
It looks easy, by the way.
No, it's definitely not.
What's the challenges?
I've really enjoyed the understanding when I can receive a ball, the timing, my body shape. I feel like the players that played in there, they've just naturally got that kind of 360 vision. They know what's behind them. I've not got that, so my body shape, receiving the ball. I've honestly enjoyed learning everything about it, and it's given me a new dimension. I was saying to Meeks the other week about respecting when I don't play in that position, when someone is, and knowing when to give them a ball and little things like that. And then, you know, it obviously makes it better when it's like today.
Now, the next thing you have to add is now goal scoring.
Absolutely. Jack, many congratulations. Like John, really, you've both had absolutely brilliant seasons. Having had, you know, 1 or 2 struggles before, you must be chuffed.
Yeah, I just said to John over there, didn't I? Sorry, I just said to John over there, I said, you was a disgrace today. And he looked at me, I think he thought that I was saying he was bad. I was like, no, you were unbelievable.
Yeah, that's the thing with you youngsters now, you never know what language you say. You say sick means really good and stuff like that. Sauce. He had plenty of sauce.
I thought I was average today. I was blowing, you know, I've only trained...
What about the penalty decision, the handball? I mean, we were so angry for you. We were with you in terms of... there's no way you can get away from that. It is a natural position, isn't it?
Do you know what though? Like, I can understand if, say, you're Wan-Bissaka and I'm standing here and I'm looking at you. Do you know what I mean? And then I can do some, but I'm not even facing him. So I was like, how? But listen, Gundo.
It's the law that's wrong. It's the law that's wrong. It's the law that's wrong. It's just a silly law.
Just before you go, can I have a look at your winners medal?
He's never seen one before.
Never had one before.
Yeah, I've got one.
Poor old Alan Shearer. If he'd joined Manchester United, he'd have had an FA Cup winners medal by now. He chose to join Blackburn and Newcastle instead. It's your own fault, Alan.
That's very true, yeah. Well, joining Newcastle itself, but there you go.
Right, let's hear from the United boss, Erik ten Hag.
Losing an FA Cup final, especially against your Manchester rivals, what is the atmosphere in that dressing room?
We are broken. It's disappointed, of course, so it's tough. But I said I'm proud of my team. We did very well. We conceded 2 soft goals. I think necessary, but we found ourselves in the game. There was a great spirit. We had a very good organization. We were really hard to beat, and I think also in the end we could have made the equalizer.
Eric, what disappointed you most about the goals you conceded?
It's tough goals. Because they are so soft, they are avoidable. Both
in terms of positioning or in terms of goalkeeping?
In terms from the whole team, and we know that. So when you play against City and you don't concede almost nothing from open play, so that's it's a big graduation and compliment for the team. But then if you then concede goals like this, that's disappointed, of course.
You must be very proud of your players, the way that they dug in, especially when you conceded so early on, Eric.
Absolutely. Once again, this team showed resilience, character. They have the personality, and we know we have a way to go. But this make us better. It was a test for us, clear, and we didn't succeed. But I think we can take a lot positives with us to the next season.
Especially the arrival of Garnacho, who made a big difference, didn't he?
Yeah, you see, when he come in, he has an impact, but also others, but he makes an impact, and he had very good actions. Was a good shot also. He take players on, he had some good crosses in, yes.
You still had a great season. Thank you very much indeed. Lovely to see you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Manchester United boss Erik ten Hag, they have lost the FA Cup final to Manchester City by 2-1. Gündoğan at the double. 2-goal Gündoğan, I think was how David James described him earlier on BBC Radio Manchester. That means City have completed the Premier League and FA Cup double, and now next week in the Champions League final against Internazionale of Italy, they will go for the treble, which of course Manchester United did back in 1999. Nigel Gleghorn, the former City midfielder, still alongside myself, Bill Rice, at Wembley. I think I was going to ask you, Nigel, about the job that Pep Guardiola has done, because we give him a lot of credit for his style of play. We maybe just don't give him enough credit for being a man manager, actually.
I think he's a tough guy. I don't think he gives them an inch. But once he trusts you and you're in his inner circle there, I think he'll look after you until you step out of line. He'll look after you. He will. There's no doubt he's loyal.
Example being Jack Grealish, who last season came in for a big price tag, £100 million, didn't play anywhere near as much as he would have liked last year. People were questioning whether he was, an overinflated price tag, whether he was ever going to live up to that, whether he wasn't going to fit in at City, whether he couldn't grasp the system. A year of training with the team this year, he's been sensational. Yeah. He's played most of the big games, all of the big games. He's won the FA Cup now, he's won the Premier League, and he's going to be in a Champions League final next week. He has had an exceptional season. His manager clearly trusts him, clearly loves him as a player, and it was just about spending the time to make sure they got the best out of each other.
I think that's what it is. Look, the player, Jack Grealish didn't say, I'm worth 100 million quid. That's what the club paid for him. That's what they said he was worth.
Well, Aston Villa set that price, and Man City went and paid it.
Exactly, so you can't blame the player. What I heard an interview with Jack Grealish, and he was telling me, he was saying how hard and difficult it was. He thought it would be quicker, that he could get used to playing Manchester City's way, but he couldn't, and he found it a struggle to fit in with how Pep Guardiola sets his teams up, how they play, all of that type of thing, and it took him a year to sort that out. And now that he has, we see the best of Jack Grealish. I always thought he'd be a success here. I didn't think it would take him quite as long, but it has. And I think when you're looking at Guardiola, we talk about a man who they say that he tinkers too much at the big and vital games. However, what's happened is he's made sure that Manchester City haven't become predictable on how they play out from the back and how they own the ball. He's come up with different ways of playing out, which has been the new one is John Stones coming in from there, or the full back tucking in, and there's a lots of different ways he plays out now, which means they're not predictable.
I want to hear from some of the City fans back in Manchester who Robin Gray's been talking to. Before we do, though, I think that's a really good point, Nigel. Football is constantly evolving, and so tactics have to evolve. This team don't play the same way as they did 5 years ago. They couldn't, because other managers then work on strategies to try and combat the way you play. And the most successful managers, and I include Alex Ferguson in that, and I certainly include this Pep Guardiola Manchester City side, continue to evolve.
Well, when you look at how much the game is now analysed, some of the most important people at the clubs now seem to be the people with the cameras who go off and analyse the games for you, because then you've got the opportunity to watch them back, watch how teams play, and then you can work out strategies to stop them from playing, and where you could actually pick up areas that you can exploit. So if we looked at today, Casemiro and Fred were marking the two midfielders, De Bruyne and Gündoğan, and they just split and got wide, and then John Stones stepped into the pocket that was left open, and it was a load of space for him. So Guardiola's obviously thought, well, if they do that, we'll do this. And it evolves, and you have tactics and plans. However, the players will be given license to recognise that that's an area we can exploit, and this is how we're going to do it. And that's because he gives them that freedom within the tactical balance of the game to go and do that.
That's the voice of the former Manchester City midfielder Nigel Gleghorn on BBC Radio Manchester, live from Wembley for the FA Cup final, where it has finished Manchester City 2, Manchester United 1 in the first ever Manchester Derby FA Cup final. A result that secures the double for City. İlkay Gündoğan with both the goals, including the fastest ever in an FA Cup final after 12, 13 seconds. I mean, we can argue over the split seconds if you want. It's certainly the fastest we've ever seen, beating the record that was previously held by Luis Sahar, who scored for Everton against Chelsea in 2009 after 25 whole seconds. I mean, it beats it comfortably, let's be honest.
That sounds like an age, that 25 seconds.
It does, yeah. So Gündoğan with the 2 goals. United did briefly get level through a Bruno Fernandes penalty, but City, with Gündoğan's second after the break, was enough to secure the double. Elsewhere in Super League, it's Magic Weekend. Wigan Warriors have been beaten by Catalan Dragons by 46 points to 22 earlier. Salford recorded a 26-16 win over Hull Kingston Rovers. Right, let's get back to Manchester then, because plenty of supporters have made their way out of Wembley Stadium this evening. Plenty have stayed home to watch the game or listen to it back there, and our reporter Robin Gray has been getting their reaction to City's FA Cup win.
Saturday the 3rd of June, a day that Manchester City fans will remember forever, no doubt. What's your name?
Mel. Izzy.
How are you feeling? The Waldorf has gone off, hasn't it?
Yeah. One down, one more to go. We've done the treble then.
What was it like, the emotions in here?
Amazing, ecstatic. I was so happy. So was getting a hat-trick, but it wasn't to be.
It's going absolutely mad here. In terms of the treble, it's one game away now.
Yeah, we're doing it. It's We are coming home, definitely coming home. Looking forward to the parade after we've got the treble.
What about Ilkay Gündoğan? 2 goals, you can't let him go, can you?
Well, I had him to score first, so I'm up already.
He's got to sign a contract. He's got to.
He's got to. Yeah.
He's been so key. There were some moments that Pep talked about of adversity in that game as well, weren't there?
Yeah. I mean, we got stuck on the tram outside for 15 minutes. I had to watch it on my phone because all the trams were down. But yeah, we got here in time, and yeah, it's been great.
Did you miss the goal then?
No. We missed the first goal. I had to watch it on the tram on my phone. So yeah,
we've come from Buxton. So we had to park up Hazel Grove, then get the bus from Hazel Grove to Piccadilly, so we missed a lot of it.
I've got friends who are there as well. So.
Well, it must be amazing watching it on the screens now. Bragging rights are so important, but what about the first ever Manchester FA Cup?
Oh, it's just amazing. I just cannot believe how happy I am over it. Yeah, I really am. I always thought we'd win it this morning. So,
and what a thing to win the first ever Manchester Derby FA Cup, and we won.
How are you celebrating tonight?
Well, we're actually going out to somewhere else in Manchester tonight as well. So we're going to the theatre to watch Dirty Dancing.
But you certainly had the time of your life.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There we go, some excited City fans in the Waldorf pub near Piccadilly Gardens. It is absolutely raucous in here after Manchester City win the FA Cup.
There is going to be some party at Piccadilly Gardens this evening. There is going to be parties all across East Manchester and quite a few here in London around the boroughs of Brent and Wembley, I think, as well, Nigel Glegon. And those City fans who've stayed down, who've been here for the game today, who have struggled through the train strikes and made the long journey by car, paid for hotels, parking, whatever, they've been rewarded seeing their team beat their rivals to win the double.
Yeah, they have been rewarded, and they've had a difficult day getting down from Manchester. All the people in the stadium, really, and it's good that Manchester City are going back with the winners' medals, really. And you talk about parties, I think the players will be having one heck of a party tonight. Let's hope they're having one next week as well, on the 11th.
Yeah, well, there is one more game yet to come for Manchester City, and it is the biggest of them all. I don't think anything's bigger than a Manchester derby at Wembley, but the Champions League final, the opportunity to win the elusive trophy, the one that Sheikh Mansour and Manchester City really, really want.
I think that's
I know you don't want to tempt fate, Nigel, but you fancy their chances of beating Inter, surely.
Well, I thought this one was the most difficult one, so I'd have to fancy City's chances of winning next week. I don't think Inter Milan are as good as Manchester City. However, they can quite comfortably spoil games and make it difficult, and that's what Italian teams love to. They defend. They enjoy defending, and it's going to be an interesting contrast between two teams. So it'll be good to watch, and let's hope City can win that elusive trophy and Pep can put it on his CV with Manchester City.
There was always going to be a winner, there was always going to be a loser today. It is commiserations to United who didn't have enough on the day to beat the Blues. The Blues complete the double and will now go for the treble. It is a fantastic occasion for Manchester, though, Nigel, that we have two of the best teams in world football from our city.
Yes, it is. When you think about it, it's the first time this has happened. And Manchester is a hub of football, regardless of what people think. That everybody thinks it's grim up north. Well, it's not. This keeps Manchester on the map. The fact that Manchester City play Manchester United here at Wembley is seen all around the world. It just showcases Manchester as a real football hub for this country. And we have foreign players coming in, but there was a lot of English players out there on the pitch who sampled some high-class football. So at Manchester United and Manchester City keep on producing players for England, which is another thing to be thankful for.
Yeah, local lads are out there on the field this afternoon. Marcus Rashford from Wythenshawe, not the greatest of days for him, but Stockport's Phil Foden is an FA Cup winner again. He part of the Blues team that lift the trophy and now go for that treble next week. The celebrations are all done here at Wembley Stadium. The fans have exited. The TV crews are still finishing up with their interviews and their pieces down at pitch side. But as far as Radio Manchester goes, our FA Cup weekend at Wembley has come to its conclusion. If you've tuned in for the very first time this weekend, thank you for joining us. Just to let you know that there is sport every morning for you on BBC Radio Manchester in Anna at breakfast, and your chance to have your say every weeknight from 6 on Talking Balls with Gaz and Natalie too. So you can always call us 0800 218 2255. You can keep your thoughts and comments coming to @BBC RM Sport on Twitter as well. But from here at Wembley, from myself, Bill Rice, from our commentary team of David James, Nigel Gleghorn and Richie Wellens, our City commentator Mike Minay and our United reporter Gaz Drinkwater as well. Thank you for giving us your company on FA Cup final weekend, a day where Manchester was the winner as the Reds and the Blues met under the arch, and it was Pep Guardiola's Manchester City who secured the double and lifted the FA Cup. Now all roads lead to Istanbul.
Let's do this.
If you want one word, it's pride. The pride of City is on this.
I'm actually quietly confident that this could be the ultimate end to our season. We have improved under Eric Ten Hag.
Means everything. If we win this, we've got a chance to win the T word. That's what it means to me.
They want to win a treble, we've won it. You know, we're the only team in England to win it.
Let's do this.
Growing up as a little boy, I was always a massive City fan and always dreamed of playing against United, and this year I scored a hat-trick against them, and it just feels a bit surreal.
And to be here, we have to deserve to be here. We have to show that we deserve to be here, and I think that has been changing the mentality of everyone.
Let's do this.
Welcome to history, an occasion that has meaning no matter which way you carve it up.
The best FA Cup final we could ask for.
We are underway. Manchester United in their red shirts left to right, and Manchester City from right to left in sky blue have an early shot and an early goal.
Let's do this.
Oh my goodness me! It's a sensational volley after 10 seconds from the captain, Ilkay Gündoğan.
Gündoğan with a peach of a volley, top right-hand corner.
He's so soft, it's such a terrible start.
The referee is going over to the far side of the field to the VAR screen as a possible penalty in this for Manchester United. He has given it. Manchester United have a penalty. Paul Tierney blows his whistle. Fernandes against Stefan Ortega. A little jog up to the ball. He hits it right-footed. Yes. He scores for Manchester United, who get themselves level. Bruno Fernandes from the spot into the bottom left-hand corner.
It's a bit of stalemate involved.
De Bruyne scoops it to the edge of the box. It falls for Gündoğan on the volley, dipping, and in! He's done it again! Ilkay Gündoğan at the double for Manchester City, who set themselves for the double yet again.
2-goal Gündoğan. I tell you what, that sounds really nice.
Let's do this.
And the full-time whistle goes. Double up for Manchester City. The voices of the treble will only get louder now.
To win a final is always special. Obviously every single trophy is special.
There's just stuff in it that you dream of, you know, when you're a little kid.
One down, one more to go. We've done the treble then. Oh, it's just amazing. I just cannot believe how happy I am over it.
The talk of the treble is quite simple. One game, one chance, immortality.
Ilkay Gündoğan launches the trophy into the air, and Manchester City win the FA Cup for a 7th time in their history.
Let's do this.